Here's someone calling me a scumbag. It's fine. Here's someone, Umbrella Guy, claiming Tim Pool defends Eliza Blue. Here's Chrissy Mayer talking about me and whatever. The Umbrella Guy talking about me losing it. These drama channels take things out of... Okay, here we go. To all the people who are upset with me, especially over the video that I put out the other day, you know what? I'm going to apologize. Absolutely. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. Obviously, we have... That's part of the op, bro. Whoa, bro. Looking good, man. You working out? You lost weight? Wow. Great suit, by the way. You working out, man? You're looking good. That's a nice suit. What is that? What is that made of? You know, velour? What, a silk robe?
I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me.
That's part of the op, bro.
I'm a man.
Nay.
That's part of the op, bro.
All right. Hey there to all you wonderful folks today. So much goodness. So much goodness today. Now we have we've had reports of new bannings today. We've had shadowing for sure. We've had search bannings, which we haven't seen lately. These actually are in effect. I've seen a couple of these. You can in fact check them yourself, which we'll talk about. Let's see, shadow banned on Twitter. We had a new documentary drop from old AH herself, in which she compares people like myself to Elliot Rodger. Elliot Rodger, you know, the murderer, Elliot Rodger, you know, the guy who went around killing women. Yeah, they've gone to that level now. It failed, of course, but I'm looking into something right now. But it seems that AH wasn't a passive person that was involved in that one either. She was actually actively involved in that one. Funny enough. Oh, it's been a fun day. Every day on the internet is like 20 days in there. It's crazy every day. What's up, Stacy D? Starting that out. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, Stacy D. Thank you for that. Surely. Whoa, US says J for Broly, adding it on too. Thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. That's awesome. Thank you for that as well. And Ginger Snap, thank you for 5 gifted memberships. 30 gifted memberships from Go, man. It's raining memberships. It's raining memberships. Hallelujah. Oh, Lord. Let me show you the first thing I want to get into. Now, Twitter is going back to its old practices. If you look up the quartering right now, he discussed this, and it is very much legit. Some people were like, "Oh, this isn't a big thing." He's actually he's been shadow banned for sure. If you're curious about that, check it out. The old Twitter suppression tools are being used yet again to take people's voices away. Hey, what's up, Jess? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs. But it's the old suppression stuff. It's the same stuff that we saw back in the day, utilized to shut people down. Check that out. Search suggestion banned. Now, this is because I'm telling you, this would happen under old Twitter. This would happen when you would talk about one of their darlings. I would get it because of Chris Boozy a lot, for example. When I would just rail on him and his connection to Twitter, oh man, they would search suggestion ban. Now, if you don't understand what that means, by the way, that means, listen to the description here. This type of ban causes an account to not populate search suggestions and people search results when it is searched for while logging out. So what that means, like decrypting that, it means, say I'm a brand new person on Twitter. Say I'm logged out of my account, but I go and search Twitter. If I'm looking up a subject, say I'm looking up Eliza Blue, the quartering won't hit for most people. If you're following him, he may hit for you, but he's not going to hit for people at large. Interesting, right? What has he been talking about lately? He's been talking about Twitter trust and safety, Elon Musk, and Eliza Blue and Timble. That's weird, isn't it? He got search suggestion banned, which is them doing this on purpose. Again, the only time I would get that kind of reaction from Twitter is when I would go directly after somebody that they wanted to protect. Or maybe all of those people they wanted to protect. But it's fascinating, isn't it? So again, with these discussions, in order to kill these discussions, people, this is how you kill trending, by the way. They can artificially prompt the system to keep trending down, but it's noticeable. Like I personally, it's funny because Cashman wanted to go all conspiratorial. Well, I do actually base some conspiracy on some stuff I saw. I don't have to go out in the wild blue yonder and make claims. I noticed that for days, Eliza Blue didn't trend, despite the fact that when it trended, there were 17,000 mentions. Now, typically an item can start trending with as little as 3,000 mentions, maybe less, depending on a slow day. But Eliza Blue popped up after people started really complaining about it on the second day. Since then, it's popped up here and there, but the way that you really find it is when people are searching. Now, the way that you kill a subject like that, you can kill trending. You're going to have to let it, when there's enough noise, you have to let it trend at least a couple of times. You've got to. But again, over 2 weeks, as massive as this issue was, I mean, if you look at the numbers that people get, it was weird because again, this was a Twitter controversy. Forget how many hits something gets on YouTube, although you can track it off of that too. When it first pops off, you see videos getting 100,000 hits, more. But on Twitter, it got the same traction that anything else would. A nothing subject. It got the same amount of traction as if I had talked about, whether I'm going to live stream or not today. I mean, that's not the way that works. If you have something cued in where it's a big subject, it gets more traction because people are interested and they're looking it up. And yet, now the one person that defied those odds because everybody was looking at them in direct connection with this was the quartering. And the one way you can stop this discussion, because this discussion wasn't just about an Eliza Blue. This was about the manipulation of Twitter. This was about suppression. It was about the fact that free speech is a lie. It was about the manipulation of Twitter trust and safety. And it also became again about people who do deflection for Elon Musk, I would dare say, because there's a lot of people that have banked on Elon. So Elon's own platform it looks like suppressing people who are talking about them again. Yeah, boy, it looks just like the old Twitter. Exactly like it, man. That's what they used to do. It's not so far-fetched because that is what you saw again and again from old Twitter. Now, on the Eliza Blue front, by the way, there hasn't been a lot. There's been some new stuff pop up that people have unearthed. There hasn't been a lot, but there's been some it's given people time to actually look through things and kind of piece things together. And I noticed something really fascinating today. So I was discussing the idea of litigation. The idea that DeFango very much can sue. He was talking about suing and more. And people keep saying, well, Shane Cashman isn't Tim Pool. So how can Tim Pool get sued? Okay, well, first of all, timcast is his product. But more than that, though, okay, if you go to people like, say, Shane Cashman, if you go to his Twitter account, he has a link tree attached. In that link tree is a muckrack link that tells you, it tells you about all of his his YouTube exploits. Tells you all about his article exploits. My brain went dead for a second there, but you get the idea. If you look him up on Muckrack, what do you find? You find the articles. You find them linking out. Who is credited with these articles, I wonder? Well, of course, Shane is, but who else? Timmy Pool. So, the connection's obvious. Even if you're a hosting site, if you look at defamation trials, for example, the first Depp defamation trial, when he went after NGN, he did not win that, but he went after NGN for calling him a wife beater. Who did he sue? He sued the writer and he sued the host site. He sued them both in that. Now, the accountability is there. That's usually the way that goes. When you go after a writer for something, you oftentimes go after the place that's there. Now, the Heard case was different. In fact, it was a kind of a smarter way, I think, because you didn't want her to necessarily have the tools that a Washington Post would bring to bear, because it would have been a bottomless bank account and it would have been armies of lawyers. So that's why you don't bring in other organizations. You don't bring in like the ACLU or anything else. You kept it to one person. That's who you were going after, really. You wanted to disprove their narrative. But typically, you hold them accountable along with the writer. And I thought this was interesting. Now, again, they've all been ghosted. That still remains. Now, I was thinking about this today, too. I was actually talking about this. Let me see if this thing will populate if I click the link. No, we'll have to pull it up. There's a new change in StreamYard. Used to, you could pull up like just a window where you could show everything. Now I have to pull them up one at a time. So all of them have been pulled down, of course. They blame, like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. That's not new news, but I want to show like each one of them is indeed pulled down. They all say the same thing too. It was pulled down because the style was misperceived by readers. Again, there's no credit taken, nothing to say, yeah, there was any wrongdoing, any damage was actually done. And on top of that, you, of course, had this. Now, this popped up. The reason I'm adding this again is because this popped up in the last 15 minutes of my live stream last night. I did a video, like I said, but videos right now with the subject that's been going on for days, it's not going to hit any algorithm, which I don't care. You know, a lot of people will drop it because I don't give a fuck about an algorithm. You know, truth goes beyond algorithms. You know, if all you do is chase algorithms, of course, I mean, that has its own thing. You know, nothing against people who go after the algorithm, but man, you leave a lot laying on the wayside because it's inconvenient for numbers' sake, you know. So outside of the algorithm portion, yeah, we have this that came up. Now this is fascinating because Defengo actually responds to this because he was the item. I'm not going over it again. If you want to, there is an archive of every one of those articles, but I would suggest that you go back and you look at the third one because you will understand why somebody would sue. Actually, I will bring up 3 statements from that. I think that's fair. I think I'll bring up 3 from it. I do think that's fair. Fubar, thanks for the 5. Watson filed suit on February the 8th after quartering foreign joint LLC YouTube channel for news show January 29th. Definitely not suspicious. Yeah, you know, I want to see, I need to go in and review all the documentation. I know they're friends. Like, again, I follow them on Twitter, but I don't take the first part of that argument was they had guests on that were misogynist. That I brush off. I mean, just honestly, man, you know, part of shows is controversy. It's hard to. I have trouble taking that as part of it. You know, again, if the show it was coming together in a wrong way, it was a piece of garbage like that, then the best thing was to really truly step away. And if it was contractual or something that it wasn't supposed to be like that, then somebody needs to pay, of course, if it's somehow related to contracts or anything. But if it's just the show, you felt like it wasn't respectful or anything else, maybe that's perception. Maybe you're right, you know, and it's good that it dissolves. But legally, I mean, there's a different standard for that. The rest of it, the idea of any sexual claims, I have a standard that I default to. Some people get mad about that too. They don't understand the standards they have to roll across everything. You either believe in accusations or you believe in at least research. When I say due process, I want to make this very clear. I believe in researching something and coming to my own opinion on it outside of the courtroom. The courtroom can sometimes get something wrong, of course, but I don't believe in just looking at something and saying that's the answer right there. I believe in researching it, finding out, making an objective determination. And again, that's not a legal determination, nor am I calling for anyone to lose anything or anything else. I would just talk about especially litigation or claims that come up. I find accusation culture fascinating. Now, there are people, you know, the thing about accusations when they come up, you have this culture of just accusing people, and then you have real things that pop up in there. And it's kind of interesting to try to tell them apart. So I like to look at that. But everyone is afforded due process by law, and that's what they're chasing, due process. So again, that doesn't mean someone's guilty either. Anyone can bring up a lawsuit. I can accuse anyone of anything, you know. In fact, I accuse you right now. You're trafficking me. Oh Lord, I mean, for real. The blast radius, thanks, Bobby. It's just amazing how one clout chasing Amber Heard type woman caused all this fighting and chaos. Well, it's amazing how that just let everything fall to the side, you know. Fubon, thanks for the 10. Will you and other YouTubers cover Sydney Watson quartering relationship with the zeal of Eliza and Poole? Quartering is being a hypocrite, made 40 videos on Tim not speaking up, now refuses to speak up. Actually, he made a statement about Sydney. He actually made a long Twitter statement about that whole case there, you know, talking about his feelings on it and this and that, and his host on that. He made a pretty long statement about the entire thing. I'll definitely cover it myself. fuck yeah, dude. I mean, they're lawsuits. I mean, I find lawsuits fascinating. I find, like I said, accusation culture. I fucking will cover them. Uber, thanks for the, I caught that one there. I caught the filing one too. Yuri, thanks for the 5. So I heard from the quartering that Tim Pool, creator of the hentai game, versus is retiring timcast. I've not listened to, I have. I've been talking to some people about the atmosphere that comes with a lot of that, and I don't understand. What I was trying to figure out is how a Shane Cashman can cause this much embarrassment and ridicule and still at the end of the day be employed. And again, I'm not saying that to try to cost him a job. I'm just saying, how do you do that and not cost somebody a job? And yet, yeah, we were there. Savage Wolf, thanks for 2. We need a tug beanie. We were actually making a little beanie, to be honest. We were making a knit hat. So anyway, I don't want to spend really any time. We've hit this thing to exhaustion, but I want you to understand why, when DeFango mentions litigation, that he actually has a point. When you look through this, again, this whole third piece was about burying somebody. It was about burying Manuel DeFango, calling him the gang stalker. It accused him of things like him and groups of buying black SUVs, stalking people, injecting folks with things in their necks that drive them insane. It said that he had seen one picture online of a person that had been stalked and driven into a mental insane asylum. I mean, and it goes from there. There's thousands, tens of thousands of words, really, that it looks like are dedicated to all of that. And when you go through it, again, as you'll notice, there's nothing here that's stated as, this is what I found it from. This is just coming from his own words. And even says, when you're going through this sounds crazy. Even uttering this aloud, it seems extreme and schizoid to say all of this aloud. But now when you make statements like that and you don't provide any factual basis, that's how you get sued. So DeFango made contact with them. He talked about that in a 57, I think, second video where, he was like, hey, I talked to Shane Cashman. I talked to Cassandra. They're supposed to do something about this, and he was led to believe that there would be some type of retraction. There would be another article, but instead they just ghosted the articles. Now, ghosting the articles does not remove any type of culpability. That's not how it works. You can't just say, well, damage done. Hey, I'm done. I fold up my tent and go home. That's not how it works. It's still there. And it would be especially egregious if you made promises about a certain way to fix these issues. You know what I mean? Like if you went in and you said, yes, I'm going to go in, I'm going to remedy these things, but you didn't. Yeah. I mean, like I said, so you saw Cashman's statement about that. Again, very quickly, just saying this. Grateful. Eliza trusted me with her story. Grateful for my readers. Proud of my work. Blessed with the opportunities. And then he says this, which again is an admission that the thing wasn't pulled over anything related to Eliza Blue, which you already know, but this is an admission of it publicly. There's been no new information brought to light that would sway my belief in her, nor played a role in the removal of the series. Let's see. Megan had DeFango on her show today with Nate. Legal Mindset, Jennifer. Check it out. I'll definitely have to check it out. And Jennifer Van Laar from Red State Media. I want to know what happened to them. Did they discuss what the hell happened? Give me a second. I got to find that fucking post from DeFango. See, DeFango, here it is. Okay, so DeFango actually commented on that thread. It took me a minute. It got buried, even though it's like the biggest statement on that thread. He said, basically, you lied about me. You lied about me knowingly. You simply don't want to believe I exposed that company for a reason. There's actually a thread about the thing that he brought up. DeFango himself has put out threads on this in the past, made video content about what Shane was stating in the past. Remember, he didn't cite any sources, and he certainly didn't contact anyone. He made it very clear that he was interviewing Eliza Blue. He wasn't going to talk to anyone else about anything, which I thought was interesting considering he chose to make part 3 about 70% about attacking another person. So his puff piece became more than a puff piece, which like I said, I thought that was fascinating. You know, it wasn't just about, it was basically, it was part puffing up Eliza Blue, but part of it was sounded like Shane Cashman had his ego hurt. You know, he had too many people question him. They said things about him he didn't like. They called him a fake, a fraud, a phony, you know, things like that. He didn't like that at all. So he decided to do a little bit of takedownage. He did takedown again at the end of 2, and he did 70%, again, aimed at one specific person, making it, you could tell. I mean, he made it clear. He dropped everything he could to make sure. A lot of people are ignorant in the fact that they think if they just call you a term, you know, if I called you Mr. Blank, you know, I was like, Mr. Blank, you know, who wears a beanie. And I mean, you know who I was talking about there, right? But he seemed to think that somehow that was going to remove any type of culpability or liability from that. And that's not how it works. I feel like somebody behind the scenes, I don't think, see, they didn't take down the other stuff, even with Backlash. I think they took down the whole series because it wasn't Backlash. I personally think that they were afraid they were going to get sued. Because again, that, oh, holy hell, man. If you wrote that about me, if you started, I mean, if you took 1.5 million actually millions of subs across platforms, you know, don't assume that they're all the same people. Assume that they're shared across platforms. If you figure millions of subs, you figure that much reach plus political connection, social connection, and on, and you use that platform to tank somebody without even a shred of evidence. That's a big problem there. So he says, you know, you'd rather stick to your guns than look at that. Well, you know what that means. Now, DeFango had already talked about looking at litigation. The thing is, somebody like DeFango, I imagine, like this is speculative, okay? But I would imagine in something like this, DeFango is smart enough to know how much litigation costs. I'm sure he knows exactly how much money that stuff costs. He knows what kind of fight that would be. And that's why most people too, they'll do stuff like that because they figure at the end of the day, you can't protect yourself. You can't protect yourself at all. It's a form of financial intimidation. It happens all the freaking time. DeFango, though, if he decides to sue, man, I mean, a lot of people, they would back that. I would, just because this is ridiculous. I mean, you can't. All they need to do is print a retraction. And fucking the 80,000 words that they spent, again, with zeal of defending one person, 10 to 20,000 attacking one person. Spend 10,000 of that making a retraction. Either that or buck the fuck up and actually really go to it and say, this is my sourcing X, Y, and Z. Double down. double down, play your hand. Say, if you really firmly believe that stuff ain't going to get you in trouble, make a part 4. Make that part 4 all the proof you think you're mustering. But I mean, remember, the claims like they're associating with black bagging people. And I mean, there's so much conspiracy that is noted in it. It's going to be rather hard to, you know, again, as I've said before, you can take something and say A plus B equals C. You know, you can. you could draw inference from something. You can go in and say, somebody enters the bathroom, comes out with white powder around their nose and is like twitchy, bloodshot eyes. You can say, yeah, I think they've been in there hitting lines. You can even draw inference from that. They're probably dealing with stress on the day, whatever. I mean, who knows? You can add on to that. But you can't just be out of the blue. Oh, they went into the bathroom. Well, there was a time vortex. And inside the time vortex, they met Elon Musk. And Elon Musk took them to Mars, where he was giving them the cocaines. That doesn't work, That doesn't work at all. That is an example, by the way. So dumb. So dumb. What's up, Daniel? Thanks for the 5. I'm doing great. The podcast, episode 83 with Shane Cashman. Do think they bear any responsibility for naming Manny DeFango? I'm doing great. The podcast, episode 83 with Shane Cashman. I'm gonna have to see that then. I'm gonna have to see like how everything. There's actually 4 or 5 conversations that have been going on for real, like legitly. That, and there's stuff going on behind the scenes. Like, again, what I don't understand here, for real, in an all conversation, what I don't understand is that would be funny though. Episode 83, that would actually be really funny. Yeah, I'm doing great. But there are legitly conversations that are going on, and a lot of them though are happening behind the scenes. Like I feel there's damage control, but there's different levels of damage control, if you understand what I'm saying. Like there's the damage control for loss of subs, but there's the damage control for this stuff too. It's an absolute mess. It's a mess beyond a mess. What's up, James? Thanks for the gifted membership there. Thank you for that. Al, thanks for the 5 there. You can tell from Cashman's previous work on Pool's site that he buys into conspiracy stuff super hard. This was bait that was too good to resist. Yeah, it made Tim money. See, here's another thing that causes you problems too. If you're Tim, banking on it. Like he leaned in super hard on all of this stuff while it was going on. He hosted, he leaned into the crazy, even pulled in people like John Ray. Again, you can see you can see it used as and if you want to call it, he can't go with I'm just shit posting, bro. That's not a very good legal excuse. Pretty good stuff though. That's going to be fascinating to watch how it turns out. If I would say this, if DeFango does hear this, I would say this as I realize that is a tough decision to decide how you move forward with something. But if you're going to do it, you need to hit while it's something, because otherwise, like if you were like, okay, 4 weeks later, you're like, yeah, now's the time. The problem is, again, it's going to cost a lot of money. If you're going to try to get help with funding or anything, you strike while that iron is still hot, because a lot of people would be interested in seeing how that turns out. I would like to see what happened behind the scenes. I would actually love to have some of the answers about communications. I think they would settle. Like, just personally, I think they would hit up and they'd want to settle this thing, and they'd want to settle it quickly, because really, could you imagine getting to a point where you're like, what communications led to all of this kind of stuff? What exactly was going on? I mean, again, you could very well ask the question of why DeFango. I mean, you could say, well, it's because he caused a threat here, but why? I mean, is there something with Blue that caused them to want to do that? Again, those kind of questions. They may give you access to stuff they don't want to see. And I doubt very much that Tim would want any kind of communications opened up like that. I imagine they'd be like, yeah, let's close this book. Let's close it hard. So I think this is fascinating. I think this is a bigger issue. You know, some people keep writing all of this off as internet drama. And, I mean, it is to a point. It is internet drama when it's two people slap fighting over something. It had air of internet drama for sure. It had a basis though with something that definitely mattered, and then it became something totally different. You know, I love how I love how fickle fucking people are too. Like I said, you know, people want one and done conversations. I watch it every day. They'll be like, "Oh man, I just want it to be over." Well, it doesn't bring back the people's accounts and stuff. It doesn't do that. I'd like it to be over, but I'd like it to be over right. You know, not over right now, but to be done right. There is no answer. There's been no resolution. Yes, it did damage, and it did damage to people that stood with, but it didn't accomplish shit. And that annoys me. You know, there are a lot of unanswered questions. There are a lot of them like, why exactly was a whole son of a media insanely quiet? What happened in that? Do we have any answers? Again, you know, now Candace Owens again talked about this. I do want to cover that. I do want to talk about that today. I've been saying that. I kind of want to. Here, let me pull this up. So Candace Owens actually did cover this thing. And did actually, one of the things I also wonder about DeFango, he was getting shout outs in this by, you know, by everybody, because he was acknowledged. He, you know, when I say that he was the first person to expose things, that's not what I mean. In the fact that he was the first person to talk about this subject. He was the first person to compile in someone's own words what exactly transpired. And that brought a lot of people to the subject months later. See, to say that he planned all of this and somehow set it into motion is absolutely insane. I mean, he got a lot of flack for his first thread that he put together. He got a lot of it, and he got it for a while until this issue blew up. It actually went a different way. People were saying, "Oh, well, you know, why attack Blue? You know, she's a survivor and an advocate, baby." They wouldn't even listen to the thing. They wouldn't. You could go back. There were many people that went on record going after him. But afterward, I mean, even so here, I mean, listen to the way this starts out.
All right, so have you heard of Eliza Blue? That name, Eliza Blue, has been trending all over Twitter really for the last 2 weeks, and it's earned my attention. I would like to discuss her and tell you why it's an important story that you may not be paying attention to. So that's what we'll be getting into today as an installment in the Friday Files of Candace Owens.
Get past the damn music. The what?
All right, so her name is Eliza Blue. At least that's her name today. That's her name this decade. She's gone by a lot of different names, which should already flag you as odd. She's Eliza Blue today. She's been Eliza Knows. She's been Eliza Seep. She's been Eliza Morthland, which is, as I said, very strange. And before we get into the story, I do want to thank a lot of the YouTubers out there, because in piecing this together, I relied on a lot of their information, and they've been covering this for a while and sort of waiting for this to be taken on in a bigger capacity. So the Quartering was covering the story. Brittany Venti was covering the story, and she's subsequently had her account suspended. DeFango, he runs something called the Griftcast.
So you see, I mean, DeFango gets big enough in this that taking him down a measure, that could also, I mean, that he's mentioned as in this chain. Again, Quartering, okay, you see the size of his channel and stuff. The size of his reach is undeniable. He has a large channel here. Brittany Venti, that name is synonymous with this because the name is the first one to get hit. DeFango, though, again, he is being credited. So many people. I mean, she's not going to name very many names. She only puts a few out there. DeFango's one of them. Again, if you're looking at this issue, and you're looking at especially not just who brought that up, but who would be a high value target to take down. Yeah. I don't know. Fascinating, isn't it? What's up, Sandy? Thank you for those 5 gifted memberships, by the way. Man, that's a lot of memberships today already. 35, 36, actually. Thank you, folks. Appreciate that. Love watching them hit, like I say. Let's continue.
Just, by the way, an excellent name, was covering the story. Blair White covered this story. I watched everyone's videos. And so I do just want to credit YouTubers. A lot of time YouTubers find these stories and then the stories get bigger and nobody ever credits them. And because I started on YouTube, it's important for me to credit those people. So this individual began trending, and I will tell you why the story matters. The story matters because this individual purports to be a sex trafficking victim. Not only does this individual purport to be a sex trafficking victim, it is basically their claim to any exposure, their claim to fame is having been a sex trafficking victim who is going out there and doing the hard work. Because imagine you live through sex trafficking and maybe you want to dedicate the rest of your life to making sure that no other individual suffers it. Now, for me personally, why is this story important to cover? Because sex trafficking matters. I have been passionate about all of these anti-trafficking efforts ever since I met Tim Ballard. You guys know that in a personal capacity, I give to Operation Underground, because when I sat with him and he really explained to me what these victims go through, what some of these victims go through, and he actually adopted 2 children after rescuing them from Haiti at the ages of 2 and 3. You imagine a hurricane takes place in Haiti, and it's an opportunity for human sex traffickers to descend in the chaos and to take children and to sell them to be trafficked across the world. He is also a big reason why I am adamantly against pornography and the effects that it has on our humanity, and my understanding that many of the people that perform in these porn videos could potentially be sex trafficked. They have found victims of sex trafficking on Pornhub. And so this has become a passion of mine. But notice that I say that I'm passionate about this and I donate to the cause and I expose these issues. I don't claim to be a sex trafficking victim myself, because to support these issues, you don't have to.
That is a very good distinction. That is a very good way to actually lead into the problems that are in this. To be an advocate, you don't have to claim that you are the very thing that you're trying to endorse. You know, I mean, it's just that should be obvious from go. That should be very, very obvious. But still, I mean, you know, they're, like I said, why would people claim, you know, we've been talking about, why would people claim that? Why would people claim something so horrific? Because in the wrong hands, it isn't a lived experience. It's a badge of clout that opens many a door. We live in a backward world when something like that happens. You know, again, when I say that, I think that people that have been through horrible things, opening doors, that's great. That's great that a horrible experience can actually be turned into something very positive. But to have something like that be perceived as a badge of honor or clout, I mean, that's what kind of world have we created? Cynic in Chief, thanks for 2 stylish t-shirts are available at cloutgoblin.net. Oh no, I'm gonna have to let me look at that while this is going.
To pretend to be a sex trafficking victim. That would be a very odd thing to do. More than odd. That's not even a strong enough adjective. It would be a demented thing to do. You'd be a very sick individual if you pretended to be a sex trafficking victim because it got you attention and it got you in touch with the right people. So that is why this issue matters.
Every single time, I got to bring this up real fast, okay? Every single damn time, Cynic in Chief. Cynic in Chief, by the way, thank you for that gifted membership. James, also, thank you for that gifted membership. So every single time there's something, you know, they'll be like, that umbrella guy, he makes websites to make fun of people. No, Cynic in Chief, baby. And I love it. I think it's hilarious. But Cynic in Chief just put together, I'm not going to say Cynic in Chief did this, but somebody did. And Cynic in Chief brought it up. It put up cloutgoblin.net. let's see where that goes, shall we? Let's do this. Let's do this real time, okay? Just give me 1 second. I gotta set this up real fast. Cloutgoblin.net. Oh my God. Oh, 1 second. Making sure it'll go through the Brave spam filter. It's terrible about that kind of stuff. Okay, so here we go. Look, I'm going to do this live for you real fast, and I'll come back to this. Cynic in chief. You're funny. All right, so here is, here's our live reveal. Cloutgoblin.net. Let's see. Whoops, that says Clot Goblin. It's going to take you to something about blood clots. Clot Goblin. Let's check it out. Cloutgoblin.net. Oh no, cloutgoblin.net. Where does it go? Oh man. Oh shit, that's hilarious. Doug Blaze Cloud Goblin. Want a stylish t-shirt? You too can own one if you only shop at cloutgoblin.net, baby. Oh my God, cloutgoblin.net. Oh, that's really good there. It's funny though. Like you'll look up pieces from like the Heard trial, and they'll be like, "That umbrella guy, he makes websites to mock people." Nay. I accept them graciously, and I love them. But my boomer ass doesn't make anything. It's so good. I'd rather have a coffee mug. You too can have a coffee mug. Yes, actually, since you are on this wonderful site with that umbrella guy, all you need to do is hit that wonderful home button, roll over here, look down through the lovely things, and look, you can have it in those stylish profiles as a coffee mug too. Yes, you too can take home the Cloud Goblin in a way that, well, you're like, oh no, you're trafficking my picture. Cloudgoblin.net. Oh my gosh. All right, let's continue. Oh, shit. That was good. You know what? I appreciate the laughs too. Like today has been a long day. So that's why I like live streams, because you never know what's going to happen and they're fun.
Matters because people are claiming that Eliza Blue, who claims to be a sex trafficking victim, is not one. In fact, they claim that she has been a person who has been involved in the sex industry willingly in her pursuit for fame and has failed to become famous for decades. She's now in her 40s.
So you see how Candace Owens did that right there. There's the difference between Shane Cashman and Candace Owens covering it. You notice she said they claim. So she's leaning in. She's adopting the standard of looking at what they say. This is how you insulate yourself against lawsuits. You have to, rabbit things with you. More pineapple hate, less pickle hate. I know, indeed. Like I said, like I was telling you before, anytime you have a problem in life, think, what would my inner pickle say? I strive to be the Zen pickle.
And then finally, she realizes that if she says she's a sex trafficking victim and she tweets at Elon Musk, she can get attention. And that's happened. She has a relationship or had a relationship with Elon Musk, and she has helped to influence Twitter decisions pertaining to sex trafficking.
100%.
She is now, and this is another reason why it matters, using sex trafficking to essentially erase her past, a very shady past that anybody should have the ability to ask her questions regarding. Imagine if you work at a company and you get a legal letter from someone saying, oh, that video of me twerking in a video, you can't use that video of me twerking in rap videos because I was sex trafficked during that time. That there's a bigger issue going on here. Well, people are obviously going to pull down the video. They're not going to ask for the questions. It's not worth the legal headache.
Yep.
And she is having YouTubers' accounts suspended for talking about her history, right? So people are getting hit with strikes. People are getting hit with suspensions on Twitter. Brittany Venti her account has been frozen. She's in some temporary lock. I don't know if it's temporary or permanent on Twitter.
She's still locked, by the way. And people are actually having Twitter play this weird game with them. There are a few of them, and some of them have recorded it. Like Blue Anon, for example, did a great job of bringing this up. They showed how Twitter had temporarily banned them, but it told them you have to remove a picture, right? Okay, you got to remove a picture, link, or whatever. If you click it, you can't make it go away. It defaults to oopsie. And it's been doing that for weeks. And they can't complain about it because nobody will listen. And talking to Twitter support, shit. I'd have better results talking to Shane Cashman about causality, in the world. Really. Well, he'd be like, you really want to know about the Loch Ness? You want to know where Easter eggs come from? Well, let me tell you about the Loch Ness monster. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I'm not high enough for this. I am not high enough for this. So thanks for the super chat there. Beep, boop, Eliza. Eliza Blue, me too. Whoa. Oh, what a hashtag, right? Sin, thanks for the 2. Who is they? They are part of the op, bro. That's part of the op, bro. Indeed. Jenna, thanks for the 50 there. Thank you. While the subject is getting old, you're making this fun as hell. Super glad to have found you. Love that smile-induced chuckle you have. Stay the course, Tug. We got you. Yeah, I heard the same thing with, with the Amber Heard stuff. Like I said, my God, how can you cover this for so long? I'm tired of it. I'm leaving. And then, lo and behold, it was a real issue. It was a very real issue. And we all found out about that in the aftermath. It's the same thing. This may not have the clout to it, but continue.
Because she raised valid questions regarding the history of this Eliza Blue. So let's get into it, because I have, as you guys know, great contempt for women who lie. I don't like women who lie about their history. I don't like women who pretend to be victims of abuse because they're ashamed of things that they potentially did in their past. And it's happening a little too often. We're expanding definitions. So we used to understand what sex trafficking was. We used to understand that it had to include some element of coercion, right? You have to be coerced to perform these sex acts. It's unusual then that a individual who always was in contact with her parents, was very close with her 2 parents, as Eliza Blue was, then Eliza Morthland, an individual who went back to her parents' farm, an idyllic childhood. She was born in 1981. She grew up homeschooled on a farm in Illinois. This is not your standard sex trafficking story. It's very weird.
That's actually that I would disagree with that assumption. I do agree with something that Blue said. This is not her about. She tries to make this about her, but this is actually a valid statement. Anyone can fall into horrific issues. That's the ugliness of using this stuff like that, because yes, anyone could indeed be trafficked. You could have somebody that is very naive about the world. They go in, they step out into the world, they trust, because trust is a dangerous thing sometimes when we put it in the wrong hands. But anyway, continuing.
That she, with the consent of her parents, moves to LA, Los Angeles, after high school. And this is the first time that she tells a story when she goes back into her childhood and says that she was sex trafficked. So let's hear her. This is her on a past podcast describing the first incident in which she was sex trafficked. Take a listen.
So before I turned 18, my father drove me out to Los Angeles with the small amount of possessions that I owned. When I got to Los Angeles, within 48 hours, I was addicted to a drug that I only know is ice. I don't know what it was. This is quite a while ago, because now I'm 39 years old. So back then I was 17. So I don't know what it was, but it started off with the famous musician offering me a couple beers. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in. I didn't really know any better. I hadn't come from an environment where drinking and drugs were a part of my history. And after I had had a little bit of cocktails, then the drugs were offered. I was under the influence, and then the serious grooming started. The gentleman who promised me the world ended up selling me after a couple days. I remember it clearly. I was sold for $500 to a very older gentleman in the hills, the Hollywood Hills. And this gentleman ran I don't know really what to call it. It was definitely uh, it was a trafficking ring. It was a prostitution trafficking ring for transgender folks. And so that was basically the ultimate beginning of the end, was when I was sold.
See, like, how does that make sense to anybody? Like, how does that make sense? Okay, I meet somebody 2 days later. I get sold for $500. I'm trafficked. I get sold to this dude up in the hills who is a trafficker. He runs a transgender trafficking ring. Doesn't that seem a little off? Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, unless there's something we haven't had disclosed about the past of this person, which I don't think that this is a female identity marker. I think that they are, they were born female, not identify as female. How exactly does that work? And then remember, her story becomes, they gave me back because I was too much trouble. So you're going to tell me all of these other people running a trafficking ring, all of the other people, none of them thought, hey, I should fight back and maybe I won't eat a little bit. I mean, none of them thought that. It doesn't make sense.
To that guy.
So she describes it as one incident in which she was sold. She has no proof that the incident took place. She says she had a drug overdose around this exact same time. And she tells a journalist just, I think, last week that she had a drug overdose. She called her parents. The hospital called her parents. They picked her up, brought her back to the Illinois farm. And she stayed in the farm for 1 week. And then she went right back to LA.
How do you get that's a really fast outlet to get hooked on smack and have somebody sell you and start pimping you out. By the way, in 2 days. I mean, you had a drug problem, you got sold, and then you're overdosing, you weren't eating and stuff. I mean, again, those first days of drugs are woo, I mean, what's funny is she's talking crystal meth. Okay. The first speed I think I ever had, just being detailed, I'm not encouraging drug use. In fact, I'm encouraging the opposite. It will fuck you up after a while. But I had some kind of a yellow crank. So it was a manufactured speed. And yeah, woo, man. But you know what? It's plentiful. It's easy to get a hold of. It's if you were still, and it'll keep you awake forever if you're brand new to it. And on top of it, I can't remember in the days, like it was a little bit after her timeline here, but still, I mean, the amount of money was nominal. And again, people do trade. If you don't have money, they trade, let's say human goods sometimes to stay high. That does happen. But again, there's so many weird things, and nobody would have even asked these questions. This is where, that deviates from this story too. But I think it needs to be said. No, you know why nobody sniffed this out? Because nobody asks these kind of questions, because people don't want to have to do that. I don't want to do that. If you say that I went through this horrific thing, I don't want to ask about your past. I don't ever want to do that. It's gross. having to do that is not fucking good. It's not pleasant. And it shouldn't be something that we're ever put in an experience. In fact, that wouldn't have happened. If all of these chain of events would not have taken place, you would have had questions. But again, DeFango originally was the villain of this story because he said, yo, a timeline doesn't fit. And everybody responded like, well, I mean, a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, because like myself, I wasn't paying enough attention. Now, I did think it was interesting. You had like NBC, they have their hit piece reporters. They came out originally and were like, yeah, you know, they wanted to cry. She said at one time she wouldn't say something about Tate because, well, she couldn't. Something was going on. And then she made that statement. That's what I first heard about her. I heard, you know, people going after somebody that was calling themselves an advocate. And I found that funny because, you know, again, the listen and believe crowd, they were going after her for politics. But I never noticed the DeFango stuff. Never even saw it. Never saw a hint of it until after this. This thing that happened with censorship, with calling things non-consensual photographs, where people, when she started making up descriptions of what trafficking was, that's where you ran into your issues. I mean, just straight up. And what's up, Kugel Curls? Thanks for the 10 there. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. Resh, thank you for the 5. She was trying to get trans people on the side. I'm like hoping it would offer some clout. I mean, that's possible. I don't even understand how you wait. Maybe that's a modern thing. I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's different there. Pixie, thanks for the 5. It's like both she and AH and their ilk don't think real people live these stories and experiences and can call them on their BS. False valor, indeed. Yeah, you know, most people with lived experiences, well, the ugliness about this too. And you had somebody come out and talk about this. They talked about the betrayal when they really looked deep and they started seeing the lie. They talked about the absolute betrayal in it. You know, why? Because they shared their story with this person. They thought that they were like them. They thought they understood. They told them that they did. They told them that they cared because, again, they embraced them because of shared experience. And they made them feel like a fucking fool. They re-victimized somebody by taking their experience away and creating a false experience.
Now, call me crazy. You get sex trafficked, you have a drug overdose, and your parents come and you end up back on your farm in Illinois. Odd behavior to then get right back into it. But you see, she talks about the fact that she had a boyfriend, right? And so the way that she, in each incident, because she's going to say she got sex trafficked only one other time later, she admits that these were relationships that she had, right? And she's kind of recasting these relationships. And what sounds to me, she admits that she was a drug addict, and she sounds to me like she's been a drug addict for decades, that these individuals maybe got her to escort herself, okay? Now let's move on. So that's around 1999. She moves to when she's around 18 years old. She says she's...
That's a poison in that statement too. Whoops, fell over behind me. I was like, what the hell was that? They're coming for me. No, the poison in the statement there is they got her to do that. You know, it's the assumption that somebody might not do that willingly. I mean, again, you know, it's easy to point the finger and to say, I mean, everything becomes suspect when you go into that. Everything. Hey, John, thanks for 10. The more EB is exposed, she really strikes me as being more similar. Colin or Riley Reed, who got in porn and then regretted it, than an actual victim. Yeah, the more that comes out, the more that pieces together. Again, there are giant issues in there.
Underage. There's no proof of that. Somebody looked into her record. She was 18 years old when she got an apartment. I don't even know how you would be able to get an apartment in LA if you were not actually 18 years old. I don't think that they're giving apartments to 17-year-olds. But she moves to LA. She is trying to become famous. And the next time she pops up on the radar is in 2002. So she's around 21 years old, and she tries out for Blind Date. You guys remember that show where they would get two people and they would say, oh, you're going to go on a blind date today, and they would describe who they were to the camera. Here is Eliza, around the age of 21 years old, trying out for Blind Date.
Now, Eliza lives a rock and roll lifestyle. She says she's pretty exciting, but she still has problems when it comes to men.
I'm self-seeking, self-centered, and fear-based. And I have high expectations as far as sex goes. Sometimes they ask me, like, were you faking? Was that real? And I'm like, about the hair. It was black one. And it was blue and pink. I think it can be really sexy. And it just takes a certain type of guy to appreciate it.
So she's sexualizing herself. Did her pimp boyfriend make her do that? Did she make her try out and go on a...
According to her, at certain parts in that, yes. You know, like if you go to later on statements, which come up later, well, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what she says, depending on the timeline. She's saying, yes, I was coerced into doing specific things. And it's just... It's odd to see the claims, you know, oh, well, you know, I was probably drunk or I was high. Again, later on, this isn't right here, right now, but later on, again, the $150,000. I turned down $150,000 to have sex. Yeah, you know, anyway, continuing.
A blind date on a show and to say things about how she is in bed. I don't know. Doesn't really seem like a victim to me in there, but who knows? Who knows? There can be all sorts of weird victim circumstances. She's not pretending, by the way, that she was sex trafficked during this period, because it was an isolated incident that we just went over. But that didn't stop her from being in LA and hitting the party scene. So that's in 2002, and she's around 21. Then we see her pop up again in 2005. So she's around 24, 25 years old, and she's still in this rock and roll emo phase. Around this time, she gains a cosmetology license in LA. She starts styling musicians. I'm putting that in air quotations here, because she really begins dating Gerard Way, who is the singer of My Chemical Romance. You guys remember My Chemical Romance?
Now, there's conflicting reports about the dating and stuff, just to say. I mean, that's her account of it, just to know. There are other accounts of it saying that more than anything, she inserted herself into this circle that essentially, you know, she did everything that she could to make sure that, again, she had that level of acclaim and clout. And again, there's conflicting reports. Her report versus, you know, you can look it up. She has a different name at the time, though. That would be under the Eliza Cuts name. John, thanks for 10. Oh, wait, I caught that one. Thank you again, though. I thought that was a new one here. Thank you.
Still run to their music, really fun music. This is her email phase, and they're dating, and all of the My Chemical Romance fans hate her. They say that she's a stalker. They say that she is just in it for the fame. And why would that be true? I mean, a girl moves to LA for what other reasons in Los Angeles, but no. She really loves him. They break up, and she goes on to write fan fiction about My Chemical Romance after their breakup. Again, this sounds to me like a girl who would have done anything for...
Here's a question. I legitimately will ask you this. She did write fan fiction, okay? It is some bizarre stuff. Would you like a dramatic reading of the fan fiction? Because... would you like to go over that in a live stream? Because I keep thinking, at first I thought, well, I don't know yet, but enough stuff has come out that is interesting and funny that it's so it's so weird. It's so weird. So I think we may do that. Oh, it's cringe fiction. It very much is. It is. It's very much cringy. You know, and again, I mean, oh God, it's it's stalkery. It's very stalkery and strange. But anyway,
for fame, but don't let me give you my judgment about it. Let's fast forward to 2010, where she appears and she tries out, and now she's 29 years old. This is not a kid. This is not a kid that's being manipulated. This is a full adult person that is running the gamut through Hollywood, trying to become famous. She tries out for American Idol. Okay. She doesn't make it. She doesn't become famous on American Idol. So she's tried singing. She's tried being the girlfriend of. She's tried blind date. She's trying the reality circuit.
It looks like she's trying to be, what's her face? Don't speak, don't speak. That lady. I can't think of her name. it's killing me there. Like the modern more. Because, I would say, well, she's reflecting back on being, a Marilyn Monroe type or something. But no, bro, during that time period. Pixie Doll, thanks too. I'll give you $1.99 to do that dramatic reading. I think it'd be fun to do that reading. Sin, thanks for the 5 there. EB is one of the most comfortable victims I've ever seen. Most people abused have all kinds of mental or emotional tics a lot of times. Yeah, there's everybody's individual, and the way that they present themselves, especially in the now. The more telling thing, I think, is going back to the beginning and seeing, that person as they are, because they don't seem very bright. They seem like a party girl, basically. You see a lot of those. You see, nothing wrong. Have your fun, live your life, don't care. But it's weird, People, a lot of people don't like who they were in their, in their 40s. They don't like who they were in their 20s. Like, again, I know I make mistakes. I do all kinds of stupid shit, but I don't disown that. But I can't deny who that person is. That's how I ended up right here. That's the way I look at it. That's how I ended up right here. Jesse, thanks for 5. Do I want a reading? Do I want just a Pope wear white? I don't know. Maybe in a dramatic reading he wouldn't. Maybe he would wear fancy underwear. No, I don't know. It's so dumb. Josh, thanks for 5. Take my money. Give us the reading. I'll plan a reading, man, for sure. Dreadnought, thanks for 5. By her own definition, she trafficked herself on blind date. In her My Chemical Romance fanfic, also reading her fanfic on stream would be amazing. It's something. I mean, it is. So we'll do a stream to. We might as well. I mean, what else is going on, right? It'll be like, oh, the most dramatic thing dramatically happened in the dramatic world. All right, we'll do that, I guess.
None of this is working out for her. Couple of years later, she's now in her 30s. Okay. She's the same age as me. She's in her early 30s, from about 30 to 33 years old. She admits that she's low on money. She admitted this in an interview, and that she was having difficulty. She had moved to Chicago during this period, and she was having difficulty affording rent at her Wicker Park apartment. Okay. So she's low on cash. We know that she drinks. We know that she does drugs, and she decides to try to get a job as a cocktail waitress at a strip club. But while she was at this interview asking to be a cocktail waitress, she says that they instead said, hey, why don't you try to dance? And she was like, oh, yeah, good idea. And she gets up and she tries out as a dancer, and she becomes a stripper. She said, well, again, I'd like to be clear. She's in her early 30s. She's my age right now. So don't let her make you think that she's removed as an innocent child. This is a girl that has spent her entire life trying to become famous. How do we know this? Well, a woman actually spoke out to the Daily Beast who knew her. She claims that they were friends, and that during that time.
This person, by the way, that they're talking about here has gotten so much shit aimed at them. I can't even. They have experienced. I mean, you can watch it. Like, she calls it. She was like, yeah, when she talked to Cashman, who didn't interview that person, by the way. He just put out what Blue said about them, didn't reach out, because by his own statements, unless he wants to correct this and say, oh, I did indeed. But by his own statements, he said, I didn't feel like any of these people were worth reaching out to. But she not only went after her and said, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about because the timelines that she expected, but she was also hooked on pills. She was a junkie addict, which is a fascinating thing, considering. I mean, again, if she's on pills, that's her business, but it's a fascinating deflection. It's a dirty addict from somebody that that had their own addiction problems. And this person, you know, they had a family and more at the time that they said, but they definitely got attacked. And after that, they got a lot of hate, a lot of threat. I mean, you could see it publicly. You didn't have to see it privately. You could see it publicly because Blue made sure that they would be a target. I mean, that was, and Cashman, he either did it intentionally or he did it accidentally. That would be, you know, that's your call. But I would say it's very peculiar if you're not willing to even reach out to those persons. They, again, they gave a statement to the Daily Beast. They would have probably given a statement to Cashman. And if, you know, one of the things like quote unquote reporters will pull too, and I'm not saying he did this, but even when they reach out, like our Lorenz would do this shit, if they do reach out, indeed, they'll reach out and they'll be like, yeah, hey, you know, in 7 hours, I'm going to do a story. Do you have a comment? You know, and it's like, what the fuck? You know, like some of them will reach out like an hour before they go to print, maybe less. They'll be like, hi, you know, you don't even know they're there. I've seen that. It's weird. Hey, James, thanks for 5. Watch the fan fiction vanish from the internet as soon as Tug does a live read and reaction. That would actually be funny. Like, she's going to have trouble scrubbing that. She's already tried to erase those parts of her past, but they're there, you know. And they're just, I don't know, they're just funny and cringy. I also like cringe, you know. I do. I like to showcase cringe.
And she's shocked that she's pretending that she was sex trafficked. She says during that time, she even tried to get me to be an escort. Carly Wenzel spoke out to the Daily Beast and she said, quote, Eliza was absolutely loving it. She was bragging about it, saying she was making so much money. She also went on to say that Eliza's a very powerful, very smart, intelligent woman. I will not discredit her for that. She knows exactly what she's doing. Well, of course, now Eliza denies this. Eliza says this simply isn't true. This is actually the second time that I was sex trafficked. You know, I was making good money at the strip club, but then it was winter time and people were.
So if she indeed is approaching people and trying to coerce them into the sex trade, yeah, like who's a trafficker again? Who's recruiting actively? Again, that's and if the person there is being attacked by these own people's statements, doesn't that mean that they're attacking victims? So when people like Cashman go out and they just casually throw these people under the bus, everything that he said about, again, you know, gathering evidence and being careful what you say. Well, how would he fucking know? How would he know? That's the fascinating portion of it, you know. And again, I've not reached out to them. I have a weird, like, I feel very odd. Like, I don't consider myself a reporter. You know, I'm not. I just I'm a purveyor of cringe, and I'm a purveyor of accusation culture. Maybe that works there. You can call whatever you want to attach to that. But me, I don't like reaching out to people like this because it feels, again, this is not a statement about anybody who does. It just, for me, it makes it feel dirty. You know what I mean? It's uncomfortable in its own way. It's oftentimes uncomfortable for them. They've been thrust into the spotlight. You know, they gave a comment, so they did open that door. But after the door is open, man, a lot of people, they have no idea how far that's going to open and how crazy that's going to get. But let's continue.
We're not coming in as much at the strip club because it's Chicago. You know, it's cold. People are not really coming into the strip club. And she was having trouble affording her fee. There was a house fee for $250 at the strip club. So she meets a guy who she says is an NBA star, an athlete. And he somehow got her to sex traffic her stuff again. But once again, she claims that this was her boyfriend. I'm going to read you, because she gave an interview about this, exactly what she says about this. So the journalist asks her, when do you meet the man you say trafficked you? Outside the strip club. And you won't name this guy either? It's not going to happen right now. I have to ask why. I can't, she said.
That's going to be part of it, though. Like I said, the only way that there is a redemption cycle for this person is if they name somebody. So this person will indeed get named. They will indeed get named. And again, you know, here's the chaos in that moment. If there is indeed anything out there, you know, all Blue would have had to say is about this stuff. Well, you know, hey, I'm asking a question. How does this background work into there? She could have said simply, there's ongoing litigation to clarify that matter. I can't speak to this, but I will definitely speak to this at a later date. You watch, you'll see. All the answers will come. And thank you. Thank you for bringing this up. Instead, you know, it was, oh my God, rap video came up. Non-consensual photographs are going around, which they're pictures of a 6-year-old YouTube video that's been setting. This attempt to scrub it offline and more, and the threat of, I'm going to sue you. Not, there's lawsuits going on because X, Y, and Z is happening. No, I'm going to sue you, Brittany Venti, because it was just blunt, forward. They made sure that they had that. It was pointed. So again, you know, there's this is redefining of moments, but that's why I always like watching this stuff and how it plays and is portrayed, because in the aftermath, when you get closer to the end of it, if there does indeed come litigation, and again, that's the only way that I can see that there has to be somebody named in it. It's the only way that you have your name and your clout stay at least somewhat intact. Yeah, first of all, that doesn't mean it happened. That just means you accuse somebody. But in the process, again, that isn't the way anything played out. The way it played out, and it's been the redefining of, you know, when all of us are called exploiters, we're all sexually exploiting Eliza Blue. I mean, it's like, yeah, okay. Darius Harvey, thanks for the 5. Probably should download those fanfics just in case. Oh, definitely. definitely. Hey, Uncivil Law, thanks for the 2. Tug, why don't you traffic me anymore? Oh, man. I'll get around back to you, baby. You know, I mean, that's the way it always gets. Uncivil, he's not feeling the love there. You know what I say about that pumpkin? You know what I say? I say, if you have time to be on your phone, you're not working. Don't make me get the powder out.
You know, I need to ask why. Like, are they still a threat to you, or is this for legal reasons again? If you told me the guy's name, I could look him up and uncover what's there, if anything. She made it clear once again that she wasn't going to name names. Are you afraid of retribution? I feel feelings of fear. She made it sound as though this person, whoever it was, knew this address, knew where to find her parents, and has made certain threats. Yeah, I'm going to pause there and let you know this seems to be her routine thing, that when there's something that you could actually verify in her story, she basically says, I can't tell you anything at all. Like, I've only been sex trafficked 2 times, but I can't tell you any details. I didn't go to the police. There's no one that can verify anything. And I'm not going to tell you about these rings because I'm so afraid for my life. This is very bizarre to me. You've now, quote unquote, made it. Your friends are friendly with Elon Musk. People are coming to you as if you are an expert on sex trafficking. And you're not going to try to help save some more victims. You're saying if this person has a platform, if this person is a famous person, and you're not going to try to help potential other victims.
That is another messed up portion of that. As an advocate who is part of at least has been attached to many well-known organizations. If there is indeed a trafficking ring out there, you need to burn that thing to the ground, because, you know, if it was victimizing at one time, it's going to victimize again. That's you know, when you get to a certain level of power, yeah, even behind the scenes, you know, burning it to the ground You got to, and that's just, I mean, that has to happen. What's up, Al? Thanks for the 5. How Cashman handled the other parties in this seems very familiar to how Taylor Lorenz uses her articles to attack without being outwardly aggressive. Yes, indeed. If you, again, if I were to read that article, now again, I know style and stuff wouldn't work for Taylor Lorenz, but let's just suppose that you could ignore the stylization and the fact that it had 4 billion words in it. If you ignored that, again, and I told you, hey, I got this article from Taylor Lorenz. She's trying out a brand new writing style. She's decided to bury people. She's sounding off on this, of course. You know, if I would have gone through like a thought experiment like that, how many people would have been like, yeah, that's exactly what's happening? If we just scrubbed every word in there and been like, you know, that mentions Cashman or anything else, and we took out, you know, specific items and we attributed that to Taylor Lorenz, would you have been able to tell the difference in these methods? And again, not the wording or the stylization, the so-called gonzo journalism, and really putting yourself into the jackpot. But would you have been able to tell the end game, the refusal to interview people and more? I mean, hell, at least sometimes, not every time, but sometimes Taylor Lorenz actually reaches out for comment. It's very strange, right? May manipulate your words and misquote you and every other dumb thing possible, but when they're trying to unperson you, even they pretend. Again, this is all for the illusion of integrity, but still, they at least try to maintain the facade.
This is how she describes the man. She says that he was, quote, good-looking, charismatic, wealthy. I thought we were dating. But now, in retrospect, it was not dating. It escalated quickly. No trafficker is going to say to you, like, I'm going to traffic you now. That's not a thing that happens. I mean, it can happen, I suppose, in some cases when you're talking about trafficking. You can't really make broad, sweeping strokes like that, but that's not how my story went down. If you listen to the story of so many survivors, that's not how their stories go down either. I thought that we were developing a relationship, but he was grooming me to traffic me. You've said this person was high status. He was an athlete, not a household name. And by the way, this is not rare. Athletes have been arrested for trafficking. Former athletes have been arrested for trafficking. I'm not trying to dog out athletes, but like, this is not rare, she said. So you get it. She's saying essentially there's some famous athlete and that he trafficked her, but she can't give the name because she's afraid for her life. And it's interesting that this athlete trafficked her during a time, because just, you know, during the time when she's being trafficked, she also goes on to do a ton of rap music videos. In fact, one of them I'd like to show you, she was on World Star Hip Hop, where she is shaking her ass like a hoe. It's the only way that you can possibly say it. She's not naked. We should be allowed to show you this video. But
she was like a hoe. Damn. Damn, man. Well,
And this is in her 30s. Again, she's in her 30s. This is a full adult woman shaking her ass like a hoe. But we can't show it to you because if we show it to you, it's going to get flagged on YouTube because I guess she's got some legal team pretending that she's a human sex trafficking video and that it wasn't done consensually. What we can show you, however, are all of the various rap music videos that she was doing at this time when she was being sex trafficked, allegedly. Take a look.
I'm feeling myself, got that liquor in my cup, and I'm all the way turned up. I be feeling myself. I just followed my heart, and you were the location. I got a million ways to love you, you're so gorgeous. I want to make you feel special. Hey, I got a million ways to love. They left with me, yep.
And when I say it like a bad, what I mean is when you look at, you should watch, if you're watching any of these videos, you should watch that. And I've got a bad bee from Jamaica. I like that one. That was pretty funny. I'm like, is she supposed to be from Jamaica? I mean, you know, I was like, who exactly can be this? I was like, yeah, you know, when I look at Eliza Blue, I think, she's from Jamaica, isn't she?
Every hoe they brought, she got them for that bag. She do what she taught. That is a weapon when it come to thoughts.
Not the only thing she was doing
man, they
during
gonna
that
show the
time, by the way,
Jamaican
guys. She also had an appearance on the Steve Harvey show in 2012, where Tyra Banks judged her for her performance of her shaking her butt. Here's a clip of her, by the way, on the Steve Harvey show, shaking her booty.
Hi.
Well, both of them will get you a car, that's for sure.
I love it. So 1, 2, 3, Gucci Tooch. Oh, look, girl, you got it in the middle. You working it. You are working the Gucci Tooch. Booty was ready. Yeah.
She's been shaking her butt a lot. She obviously seems to like stars. She's drawn to stars. It's why she moved to LA. But she wants you to believe that over the course of over 2 decades of her trying to make it, that there were 2 instances where she can now say that she was sex trafficked by her boyfriends, by her more successful boyfriends and people that she met along the way who were trying to help her potentially make it. And now she didn't make it. So it's best to just say that you were sex trafficked. I mean, this is my take. Household
Pixie Doll said, thanks for the 2. So the most brutal comment goes to Candice. I mean, it was. Again, you know, the deflection that you always see with something like this is, oh my God, how dare you judge me for that? Because I can have that. This is what Blue did. She was like, oh, I can have a past. And in fact, she went back in, if you look at her statements, and she defined people showing those images, like Candace Owens. She's saying that Candace Owens, if this video is monetized, well, I guess it's, even if it's driving traffic or anything else, she just sex trafficked her. That's the way that she would discuss that. She just sex trafficked her. Weird, huh? What's up, Snake Plush Kitten, by the way? Thanks for the 5 tug. In the early 70s, I used to mix backyard whites with weed and wine. I now realize that I've been a meth addict for 50 years without knowing it. Yeah, you know, it's just, it is strange, like the epiphany of, I was trafficked. And it wasn't just the question of traffic. It was, I was trafficked for 5 years and then I escaped my abuser. Now, again, what is the mental connotation with that? What do you think that means versus I had a high profile boyfriend. I was an addict at the time. And periodically I would engage in sex for money. Now, it's just, we have the discussions of trafficking that go on all the time. And again, the connotation, it's totally different than what was thrown out there. And they know, these people understand it. I hate this coy bullshit that people pull where they pretend, oh, no, that's not what we're doing. Viral Shorts, thanks for the 5. Tupac Shakur had a popular song called It's All About You. The lyrics describe a woman who wants to be famous in detail. Yeah, there's I mean, there's also not a problem with wanting to be famous. You know, you have a lot of people like drive is important. You know, when you want to do something, you've got to push to a point that goes beyond, of course, the average. Right now, you may get lucky and it just happened. But otherwise, you know, if people want to be successful, there's a difference in being successful, too. You know, being acknowledged, like me, I like to be successful. You know why? Because it's life-changing. I can leave something for my children. I feel older and, you know, I have a 9 and a 3-year-old, and I damn well would like to leave them with not a stack of bills at the end of my life. I'd like to be able to leave them with something of a legacy. You know, that way they get to start their adulthood in a much better place than I did. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Wanting to have success. Fame is poison, though. Fame is poison because oftentimes people who seek fame, they will add something by any means. And to by any means these days means that the old way to approach fame may have been brutal, you know, walking on the backs of other people. destroying other people's careers and more. But now it's not undermining and backbiting. It's simple words, you know. That person, you point at them and you wreck them. On the other side of that too, you know, the reason I bring up false accusation culture is because it's the same coin. It may be a different side of that coin, but it is the same coin being flipped. You know, when it goes up in the air and you look at it, well, it's all about this becoming a very prevalent topic because, and it should be. This should not be. Men and women should not be shamed because they have been abused. There is no shame in somebody else harming you. There's none. There's no shame in that. It is not your fault. We need to get past that shit. Oh, what you were wearing, the gear between your legs. You know, women no more should have to be, well, you know, the whole quote unquote, she was asking for it bullshit. That needs to be set aside. We also need on the men's side, well, he's a man, fuck him, it can't happen to them. You know, all of that stuff that needs to be set aside. Society is trying to figure out how to do that. In that, though, anytime you have a societal discourse like that, you see what happens. You see what becomes front and center. Kelly, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate that, by the way. Thank you. That is awesome there. I think that's 41 memberships on the day. Awesome. That's crazy. I mean, you know, these statements shouldn't be, it's amazing because, you know, today, I'm going to continue this in a second, but because of statements like this and calling out people like Blue or Amber Heard, there was a French documentary that was dropped. The French documentary, it used many of us. It used Rekieta Law's image, used mine. You know, it basically says it also had some interesting. There's discussions about who funded it. It looks like Amber Heard was definitely there behind the scenes. I'm looking at some stuff there and probably will put a video out about it because it's direct attacks. But the thing makes comparisons to us being like, again, Elliot Rodger, you know, the guy who basically, he may not help create the term. I don't know when the term incel was born, but he's definitely the one who popularized the term because, you know, he hated women. And he couldn't get women. And he killed people because of it. He killed women. They compare that. That's the reaction with this kind of stuff. And it's insane. History, you know, they always talk about the right side of history. I believe history will look back at some of this and they will, you know, this Wild West shit. As long as we don't let these people dictate the societal discourse, as long as they don't get to own the narrative, history will look back and it'll look at just how fucked up this stuff is. It will remedy this as long as, again, they are not the victors, quote unquote, the victors, and they don't get to write the history on it. That's why, again, it's important to make sure that you document the shit out of this stuff. And it makes sure that you don't get banned when you talk about this shit and you burn anything down that tries to shut down the conversation. Not you burn the people down necessarily. You take them to task. But I'm talking about like platforms, the mainstream media, any fucker that wants to wreck you, you wreck them. You wreck them and you make sure the truth is there. It's a simple truth. Again, when these people are complaining about, oh man, people make money on YouTube, that shouldn't happen. You know what? We shouldn't even have to have this conversation. And to have people unite around the rallying cry of, again, it's unreal. Some days I look at this and I think this is fucking unreal. Like, I cannot believe this is where we are. But we are. The Squid, thanks for just catching up. I can't believe you compared Eliza look to Gwen Stefani. Gwen is a queen compared to the See You Next Tuesday, Eliza. No, I said that she was trying to emulate that look. I did not say that she looked like Gwen Stefani. That's what she was trying to look like there. But she had that look. It looked like she was trying to capture it then. Man, Gwen Stefani was everywhere back in the day, you know. I enjoyed there were some, those were some fun times there, you know. But anyway, continue.
debt is soaring, inflation is on the rise, and last year was the worst for stocks since the 2008 financial disaster. In these uncertain times, it's important. So, who were trying to help her, which are best to apply a rap video vixen, and these girls get paid
Sorry
nothing.
about that.
The
I was
idea
skipping an ad
that there was
read.
some pimp behind these women when they're doing these things. Nope, they usually have an agent. They get paid about $200 for these little.
I get ad offers all the time. Could you imagine? Like one of them, I really did think about taking one. Okay, let me tell you something real fast. Okay, so I got hit up recently from this company that does exercises. They make like they're actually a legit place. Like, well, they're a Chinese manufacturer, so I don't know how bad quality their stuff is, but they do make products. Is what I mean. But they write you and they're like, hey, I love your videos. We need this and that. Watch them all the time. We think you would be great to demonstrate the product. We need a picture of you on the bike doing this. And I kept thinking, wouldn't it be cool to like take video of the bike moving and to like have somebody edit in like my pickle avatar walking over and, it'd be like, in order to be the perfect pickle, like this is how I get in shape, have it walk around there, climb up on the bike and be like, with these new leg extensions. Oh, so good times. I really thought about taking that one. I did. Anyway, continue.
Little appearances, and they're constantly trying to get their name out there, hoping that they're going to have their big break, a la Meghan Markle. Look, she did it. She started out as a suitcase girl. She then went on to Suits, to Show Nobody's Heard Of, and now she's married to a prince. This is what girls who up and move to LA are all hoping for, right? And if you don't have that happen to you, and you suddenly realize that there's a ton of information on the internet that show that you were just a girl that would have done anything to become famous, how sick and disturbing to think that you would then say that you were a victim of human sex trafficking. This is not how these stories look. The idea that a pimp is going to send you on a rap video shoot. What are you making, $200 for the whole day? Maybe if it's a big rap star, $1,000. And if you're the main girl in the video throughout the entire video, $1,500, right? The idea that a pimp is going to send you for those low bits of money and be totally like, yeah, this is what I want you to do. I want to pimp you on rap music videos doesn't pass the sniff test with me. In fact, there's even a clip of her because she went through a ghetto phase. She actually changes her entire voice. First, she's like, emo girl, black hair, bright blonde hair, changing her hair colors all the time and speaking normal. Then she starts speaking like Cardi B for a period of her life. She just totally switches how she speaks, and she's super ghetto. And this is her world star hip hop base.
Doesn't this stuff piss people? Like, I've always wondered. Again, it irritates me. I've talked about, I don't like it when I hear people. I don't like seeing like people appropriate words like, since I love to appropriate, I don't want to use that. Appropriate words like y'all. I'm like, you're stealing my culture. But really, doesn't it irritate people to see this? You have people that are from a very gifted background. I mean, they have been very lucky in life. They're very affluent and more. And, they believe that speaking a certain way will allow you to become that social chameleon. It'll allow you to fit in. And it's offensive in its own way when they're reading the proverbial tea leaves and they think, because what their association with this is. You know exactly what they're trying to do, who they're trying to fit in with. It's so... Anyway.
There's even a clip of her saying that guys were sliding in her DMs and asking to pay her big money to sleep with her, but she turned it down. Here's her in her own words.
Here's the big money.
What's been your strangest booking request so far?
Oh my God. $150,000 to have sex. I mean, it's a nice offer, but it's not me.
Turned it down.
I did, yeah. I did.
Was it hard for you to turn it down? Did you think about that one for a little bit?
No, it wasn't even a question, no.
See, right there. Okay, right there. Like, how does that happen? Now, her answer to Shane Cashman when this stuff comes up is that she was being trafficked at this moment. She didn't know what she was doing in these interviews. She was probably drunk or high here. In fact, people that know her, they can tell that about her. They know how distressing those moments were. So, yeah, I mean, that's just, it's because, again, addicts don't turn down that kind of money. They don't, you know. Like, I've never, I've never been, I've never, I've never been offered $150,000 when I was, or $20 really, when I was in an addiction, you know, being like, hey, you know, your hashtag tugs tits, they're nice, 150K, 150K Monopoly money. No, but you like for real, an addict, especially somebody that has been selling themselves, they're not going to turn down that kind of money. Addicts will kill you over a freaking $20 in many instances, 6 figures. And then at the top of that, you're telling me you're being trafficked and your trafficker is allowing you to turn down opportunity and brag about it live. Brag about the fact. Now, there would have been a good way to spin this. If I was going to spin this, say I was coming up with a trafficking tale, I would have been like, yeah, you know what? This was actually my trafficker was telling me that I needed to go out there and I needed to basically hype up the goods, you know, because I mean, look at me. I was, that's what all my rap videos and stuff were about, actually. That was part of my PR. So my trafficker could say, you know, I'm worth a lot more. Watch if that comes up. I'm copywriting that somehow. If that comes up in litigation, I'm gonna be like, remember the day, kids. Remember this day.
Oh, it's just not my thing, you know.
She turned down $150,000 because it wasn't her thing. Does that sound like to you a woman who was being coerced to do anything? Coerced? Your pimp is going to allow you to turn down $150,000? I don't even think I've ever heard of that sort of an offer. Where are they making $150,000 to sleep with somebody for one time?
I've heard of it in a movie. You remember that movie? What was that freaking movie where, dude, what is it? Indecent Proposal? Is that what it is? Where like they get offered $1 million to have sex with dude's wife? Wasn't that the right movie? So I've heard about that in movies. That does sound like something that would come, because in reality, you know, you're talking about far less money. That's typically, you know, it's not, especially when, again, this was somebody that they're telling you that they were sold for $500. They continue on this. They don't get into price ranges or anything, but I think Owens actually brought up a good point with this that loops back. They're spending entire days doing rap videos that are paying a few $100. I saw a rap video. I saw a rap video director come out, and he was, when I was looking up this subject, because I was curious, I was like, how much do video vixens make? Because that's what she was calling herself, video vixens. So I was curious, how much do they make? And there was a video out there where the guy, a director, was like, yeah, there's all this nonsense about them getting underpaid, when really, I mean, they make at least minimum wage. And some of them make more. So, you know, if you figure that in, they make minimum wage for a day of shooting. At the time, too, we're not talking like $8 an hour back then. You know, we're talking about less. So if you're talking like what, $6 an hour, you know, $100 a day, really, for some folks.
That doesn't even make sense. In fact, recently, I sat down for an interview with Brittany De La Mora. She is a former porn star who is now Christian and really dedicated to the Christian faith. She had a radical awakening. Porn star for 7 years. Kind of a very similar story here. Admits that she was on drugs, admits that she was an escort, and she would talk about nights where she would make $10,000 a night as a porn star that was now hitting the escort circuit. One thing missing from Brittany De La Mora's story is the idea that she was trafficked. She admits that she was an escort. She admits that she made these decisions out of desperation, and she made these decisions because she was addicted to drugs. And then she found God. And so, great. It's a wonderful story. It's why I wanted to have her on, because she can talk about the industry. She can talk about the individuals in this industry, but she doesn't try to make herself recast her life as some victim and then try to hit people with copyright infringement things when they dig up her past. No, that's why it doesn't matter that we're not hitting Eliza Blue because we feel that there's something wrong.
And really, you know, when she says dig up their past, remember how low that proverbial bar was set. You know, again, there's been this rehashing of, well, I wasn't hitting people for everything. It wasn't, it was just this one video. That was the first thing that got brought up. And the backlash was so severe that it kind of, you're going to have to lock in a narrative. I think that if we would have seen, and there were other things that got hit. There were many other things, including comedy. You know, again, jokes about, you know, I saw one person get banned. Again, I'm paraphrasing, but they said something along the lines of, you know, I too was trafficked when I had to wait in the Wendy's drive-thru, you know, and that got somebody suspended. Again, that's paraphrasing. Somebody made fun of her hair. They made fun of her hair. And this is it, you know, this is all happening in the same days that Elon Musk is saying, you know, Twitter is the PvP of social media. You know, Twitter is where you come and where you fight, you know, where you throw down. It was like, yeah, you know, and it is sometimes. It really kind of should be, you know. That's it. That's a good the other sites are boring, you know. A place where you can't get in. People like to have a voice. People like to also, they like to tell people, hey, you know, some people want discourse, but a lot of people just want to be like, yo, you're stupid. You know, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, and yeah, you couldn't do that. You couldn't even make like low effort jokes in some instances. I think they didn't hit anybody that was extremely noticeable for making jokes, but they hit people for sure about making jokes.
Wrong with a woman who has changed her mind about her lifestyle and wants to be something different. That's an admirable quality. That's just an admirable thing. Any single person that wakes up one day and says, you know what, this is who I was and this is who I want to be today, you should honor that. Transformation is a wonderful thing. I really believe that. What is not transformation is pretending that everything that you did only happened because you were a victim. What is not transformation is getting YouTubers who rely on that money, YouTube creators who rely on that money, who rely on those clicks, who rely on that ad money to have their accounts hit with strikes.
I don't care, too, if you rely on the money or not. You know, I get what you're saying. This is their bread and butter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they go outside and have a bonfire with said money. You know, but people like that, like I said before, like I got hit with, I had to argue. I think it took me 10 days, maybe almost 14 days to argue something, a few Decembers back. And as part of that, you know, I talked about like trying to do good in your own communities, those kind of things. You know, it was over the herd stuff. It's the same thing you're talking about here. It's a different person, but it's the same type of thing. It takes away not only from those people, but anything that they do. Like for me, if I'm going out and I'm using money for good, for what's that word again? Oh yeah, for advocacy. And somebody takes it away there. They're doing harm. They're doing harm anyway. I believe it's all harm. But the harm isn't just what you notice, surface level. There are also other people that get hit for that, families and more. But hey, you know, right?
I mean, they could eventually be banned from YouTube because you're ashamed of things that you did consensually. She's now claiming that any person that's sharing anything from her past is digitally raping her. Wow. It sounds like almost a leftist buzzword. You're digitally raping me if you show this remarkable 2-decade career I had selling myself for anything, just wanting to be famous. What a music video, I'll do it.
I wish we could get past that one thing in there. One of the things that divides us and keeps us all from uniting and making a change is we have so many people that make it a overt political thing. Oh, it's all leftists. It's progressives. It's that extreme percentage for sure. They try to bully and browbeat other people into doing that. But the people who are backing this move, they're not leftists, dude. I see a lot of conservatives backing this play too. She worked her way into that space. So to imply that that's I look at these things as social issues that transcend the geographical barriers that we have. When they transcend that, they also transcend political boundaries. When people rally around that. And again, I realize that part of a lot of people's talking points are, the leftists did this or the conservatives did that. But I mean, really, yes, you do have an extreme on that side there. But it is more extremists that have been given social power. Now, there are people that back them with political power. When that comes up, and you find examples of that for sure. I mean, for, people like Chris Boozy, for example. Chris Boozy turns his shit into trying to shut people down. Like Heard after that case with all these people's help, you had politicians sounding off on, yes, we need to stop that. That is definitely adding into the political spectrum on it. But with this particular issue, it shows you how this is an issue that impacts every portion of the political spectrum there. It is a social issue. It is a poison. We need to stop lying and dividing one another about it. Because, it's a pass the buck kind of fucking thing, And that's what amazes me too. See, the talking point is that people like this aren't attached to every side of the political vibe. It's not. And yet you saw how it wasn't just the embracing of, but it was the circling the wagons for. Anyway.
Blind date, I'll do it. What do you want me on? I'll do it for any money. This is what girls that go to Hollywood do. It's a typical LA Hollywood story of a girl who did not make it, is actually how it ends. In fact, on her own YouTube page, because she started one during the period in which she had, been sexually trafficked by a boyfriend. She started one, and she has a video of herself calling her mom excitedly to tell her that she was in a rap video. Take a listen.
Hello?
Hey, Mom, what are you doing?
I just got off work. I thought you tried to call, and you sent me a text message, so I thought I'd try to call you back.
Well, yeah, I was just calling you because I wanted to get your feedback and see what you thought about me being in music videos.
Being in a music video?
Yeah, about me being in music videos. You know how I started being in music videos and I started a blog about it?
Yeah, there you go. Definitely. You could just see the pimp being like, call your mom and tell her that you're doing videos. It's very weird that pimps would not want to completely isolate the individual away from their friends and families. That's a typical human sex trafficking story. It requires some level of isolation. Usually you don't have a great relationship with your mom, your Christian mom and your Christian father, who you're allowed to see whenever you want over the course of these decades.
They're actually, that is typically part of it. Again, you'll notice that one of the main claims in these main cases, again, reflecting back to the reason I reflect back to Kat, first of all, I covered it for a long time, but people know it. It's semi-fresh on people's minds. The original claims by Heard was that she was socially isolated. That came out a lot she dropped that a little more in the US case, but in the UK case, she went full tilt into the thing of, he socially isolated me, and his legal team was not really, they weren't really prepared as much as they should have been to take that narrative apart. But yeah, I mean, that's it. And you want, if you're manipulating people, period, you do want social isolation, because you don't want, like if somebody's again being utilized to enrich, you want them to think you're the only thing there, you're the only support, you're the only person that will ever care. Oh well, I'm the only person that cares, get out there and earn me the big bucks, and yeah, and there would also be a way to get away. There would be access to leaving, easy access.
So what this really is, and what this really represents, is a woman who failed. She failed at everything. And what women do, and I've seen this happen over and over again in this movement when they fail at everything, is that they just repurpose themselves as victims. By the way, when she rebranded as a person who was going to help inform Twitter policy, she's rebranded herself as somebody on the right who is passionate about free speech. She actually once tweeted this. A journalist asked her about that video, of course, because it's extremely relevant. You're turning down $150,000 and you're a sex trafficking victim. And here's what she had to say about it. She said,
that's being really nice to Shane Cashman, by the way, a journalist.
Well, I look at those videos and I see that I'm drunk, possibly high, not myself. I'm not the same person that's sitting here right now. I see those videos as a legit cry for help. Do I know if I was trafficked that day? I don't know, but something was going on behind the scenes. I have also repeatedly admitted that I had full-blown Stockholm syndrome. I was never in chains. I actually went to the police department a few times in multiple places to try to report stuff. I was never welcomed with open arms, but at the same time, I was running cover for my abuser. If someone's in a Christmas picture with your husband, you think then that everything must have been fine at home. It's absurd. They can all say whatever they want. I've been completely transparent about the fact that I had extreme trauma bonds with my former.
There's the thing too. You actually can't say everything that you want, all right? You can't say it. So it becomes a free speech discussion here, but you aren't allowed to say and call that out. What's up, Snake Plushkin? Thanks for the vibe. She turned down $150K, and her pimp said, oh, well, nay. She be dead. Yep. They got them little pieces. Yep. That would be a no return from. I don't see how your abuser would ever let you. I can't even imagine. There was a narrative too that was going on before the Cashman thing. Now he implies this a little more, but she had fully leaned into the idea of, I can't talk about this, or there will be retaliation that's dangerous, that will end up harming me and more. So you're saying that they are violent, that they would do these volatile deeds, but they would let you, if they perceive you as property, then they would perceive that their property didn't make them $150,000.
Abuser. I'm sorry, what? What do you mean? So you're basically saying, no, I wasn't sexually trafficked. Well, I was, but I was abused. Well, okay. I was turning down $150,000 while I was in this relationship with my abuser. But also, because I thought we were in a relationship is why I was turning it down. And also I went to the police. I tried to go to the police, whatever that means. The police didn't invite me. But they didn't welcome me with open arms.
Well, and she went further with the not open arms. She said, I had a warrant out for my arrest when I went there, and they arrested me instead. It's like, wait, what? wait, what? By the way, yeah, other times.
But I was also running cover for my abuser at the police station that I tried to go to, but they didn't welcome me with open arms. Listen, whatever. The point is, I had Stockholm syndrome. And none of this is making any sense. And if I was a respectable journalist, I would have pushed back on everything that she said, because it makes entirely.
Well, and she may have had the weirdest story in the world. That's the thing. If Cashman, but he proved what he represents in part 3. the stuff we talked about. And one of the reasons I spent a lot of time on that for 3 reasons. First of all, it shocked me what was there. I couldn't believe that was the way he chose to go. He wrote that new. So we were told 80,000 words. They decided somewhere in the revitalization of that story to pick DeFango and to take him down. If that was already approved and already pre-written, that tells you how long they had been planning on going and trying to take him down, which again, wow. I mean, it wasn't just a rush to judgment. It was a rush to print. And, but I mean, it amazed me to see that. It amazed me to see the legality portion of it. I mean, there's just so much in that goes along with what we're talking about. So, I mean, this whole situation, like, I'm kind of glad you ever watch. These are meaningful things that go on, but at the same time, you ever watch a fucking soap opera unfold? Have you ever watched a drama, not a soap opera, like a daytime soap opera? They talk about drama. No, not necessarily drama, but have you ever watched something that just keeps the stakes keep going up and it's added to it? And it's unfolding and there is a drama element. You're like, wow. On top of it too, it's just like anything else where you don't know the outcome. You're like, wow, I'm glued to this. I don't know what's going to happen every single day. And being real, I mean, being really real about this, I also find the stakes intriguing. Like we were talking about hurt or this, you don't know what's going to happen next. You don't know if somebody's going to try to hit you. It has real consequences. Why? Because it does matter. Anyone that tells you that it doesn't matter, you don't suppress shit that doesn't matter. You don't do that. And platforms doing that, period, are telling you, about their own actions, it matters. But beyond that, they're telling you it matters for totally different reasons. What's up, Rory Moore? Thanks again. Eliza post MCR breakup in an interview was asked craziest rumor about her that I was the woman pressing charges on Derrick Rose, the basketball player, for rape. That's a very serious. I didn't listen. Is that those new clips that came up? So I saw 3 series that had been like they're older, like it's an older set down. And there were 3 videos that came to Twitter. Is that part of that? I haven't watched it yet. Again, it's just so much of this thing. It's hard to keep track. So I'm wondering, did that come up in there? Mr. Doc, thanks for the 10 there. The best thing from Temple is letting people find other people. Also, you said granddaddy, the way that I recognize as someone from the South, but I'm in NC, family in Tennessee. Yeah, you can see you can see the Southern. I mean, you can hear it in my voice anyway. It's not heavy like this because I moved away here and there, but I've been here a lot. I love it here. Like the Southern culture is fun. It's laid back. When I've gone to places like major cities, like going to San Francisco, man, it is a culture shock. People are in such a hurry, and the extreme poverty that's just on showcase everywhere. Like we have poverty, some of the poorest places in the United States, but it's dispersed along land. You see people that are extremely impoverished, living in dirt shacks, and stuff like that. They live in shacks with dirt floors and nothing, but they don't line the streets like that. Yeah. Anyway, that's off topic, but still it does. Tori, also thanks for the 5. So adding to that statement, you said this is a very serious subject in general, not the type of thing you want to be involved with or in. I'm sure there's a million out there. So she said in her interview, quote, her craziest rumor was that she was the woman pressing charges on Derrick Rose, the basketball player, for rape. That's a very serious subject in general, not the type of thing you want to be involved with or in. I'm sure there's a million out there. That's nuts. Like, I'd wondered if that was part of that thing. You love the Tennessee accent. Yeah. I was told when I first started YouTube, I was told like I was asked a lot, like, don't you have problems? Because you have a heavy like, this is not a heavy accent from where I'm from. You hear I don't know if any of you know like Mandy Summers. Like, she has a very heavy Southern accent. She has a very heavy one, but compared to people from other places, yeah. But it was like, yo, why don't you use you could use a talk to text. I was like, nah, I think I'll just wing it. It's pretty funny. Whoops.
Really no sense. If he was in fact your abuser, if you were Stockholm syndrome and he was sex trafficking you, why would he not make you get $150,000 that you were being offered? Oh, you don't know. I don't know. I see these videos. I just see a cry for help. I see a cry for help. That's
what I'm saying, man. If uncivil law, he was like that, Uncivil law came to me and was like, hey, Daddy Tug, I turned down that 150K. Ooh, man, there'd be some fire then. I'm just playing with it. I'll be like, it's law tube on the streets.
That's all I can say. I think that there is a special place in hell for women that false accuse. I have hit this drum over and over and over again, and it will continue to be a beat that I do because it's so nauseating to me to consider that any woman could do this, that any woman could do this for fame, that you could recast your life and your poor life choice.
That's one thing. Like, you say whatever you want about Candace Owens. I know she has a lot of detractors out there. I don't keep up with politics stuff at all. Like, I don't keep up with it at all. But I can say that she has taken a lot of this shit to task. Like, so many other people didn't have the stones to stand up and say a word about this stuff. Again, I have to give credit. Like, people like, that's why I like Megan Fox. Like, again, no fear of coverage. Maybe that's why, you'll have somebody that'll pop up here and there in the more mainstream portion of it. But maybe that's why some people they don't get embraced by the most mainstream of all of that. Phoebe, thanks for the 20 there. No statement, plenty of statement and backing though. Thank you for your backing. Chevy Dirty Max, thanks for the 5. Make your accent heavier. Make that accent heavier. Yeah. I've seen you Song of the South. It's one of the few country songs I know. I can make it really heavy there. Song of the South. Yeah. I'm Tennessee supremacist, so enjoy it greatly. Thank you for that. Fallen Hero, thanks for the 5. Keep it up. Oh, indeed. This stuff, like I said, it's fascinating. And it's a subject a lot of people want to cover. A lot of people will not touch accusation culture. Again, when I started out, I started covering everything. And I do this periodically. I mean, I cover what I find interesting. I find it good, like the threshold you set your own threshold for success. At one time, like today's video might get 20,000 hits on it. For a lot of people, they'd be like, oh my God, why would you make a video like that after you got subs? It might cost you subs and everything. Because it's important, I think. It's important. And people will stick with you if you tell the truth, man. If you call this shit out. Now, there's other stuff that's important too, but I have problems ignoring it. Anyway, let's finish this. And then we got to talk about that crazy commentary. Okay, give me a second here.
As human sex trafficking. And if you are like me and you attend these annual galas where these women who actually have been sexually trafficked hit the stage and tell their harrowing tales, when you hear their moments of freedom, when you hear how it happened to them, when you hear how they were sold over and over again, when you hear how they were cut off, how they were isolated, how they had no friends and they had no family, when you hear how they were forced drugged, you don't hear about them trying out for American Idol. It's just such a nonsense. And then I tried out for American Idol. But I don't know exactly the timeline that I tried out for American Idol. But then I went back. I can't remember exactly when I was sex trafficked. But yeah, I was talking to my mom and my dad. These are not the stories of sex trafficking victims. When you hear these stories, And you cannot listen to these stories without crying. And then you come across someone like Eliza Blue, and you realize that she's made it all the way to Elon Musk and that she's online collecting money for what? Get this, ready? For vacation, because she's so exhausted as a survivor doing hard work that she's creating GoFundMes for $2,500, $10,000, a couple $1,000, so she can go on vacation and relax. Her life has been a vacation, if you ask me. Her life, she hasn't done anything. So my suggestion to Eliza Blue is that she gets a job and that she stops threatening YouTube creators. Maybe she should start a YouTube channel where she talks about all of these things that she did and all the famous people that she met in Los Angeles while she was busy not having a job and hoping that she was going to land a rich, famous person. Maybe.
She did a YouTube channel, though, Candace. That's the problem. It didn't work out. She tried YouTube. She tried it, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Vince, thanks for the 5. Please don't whoop my ass and burn my house. That's a deliverance thing, huh? Down, where are you going, city boy? Anyway, there's 2 minutes of this left. Let's do it.
She should talk about that athlete that she dated. Sell stories of him. People do that. It's a more respectable job. Why don't you start an OnlyFans? It's more respectable. All of this is a more respectable job than harnessing the real pain and suffering that some women go through, women and men go through, when their entire lives are stolen from them and they have no way out because they are being sexually trafficked. Honestly, Eliza Blue, Eliza Knows, Eliza Stephen, Eliza Morthland, whatever it is that you're going by this week or the next, there is a special place in hell for women like you. And that's all I have to say about that. All right, guys, you know how this goes. The next portion of the show is going to be available.
Yeah. So yeah. I think that was an important statement there. I think it was very much. Now there's another thing that I want to cover today too. This is crazy. It's equally crazy. It fits into the same type of topic. Oh man. Hey, what's up, Bears? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs, by the way. Let me pull this up though. Take me 1 second to do this. So this is fascinating, and it's developing kind of in the moment, as it were, because it's made its way here. Now, give me 1 second. I'm locking in on this. All right, there it is. All right, so I need to translate that. We have a new documentary that's come up. Now, these are a dime a dozen, by the way. I don't really give a shit about a new documentary about the old AH. I wouldn't care. It's a foreign one. Now, I do care about the reason this exists, in my opinion, is because you see Depp reaching over. God, my chair freaking. Give me 1 second. The whole back of it almost came off. I was like, holy shit, I almost fell out of my chair. I don't know if you can hear me like, rah. Good God. This stupid chair, man. I'm going to banish this thing. This chair is trafficking me. But anyway, Depp has a movie coming out abroad. He's no longer right now like steeped in the Hollywood portion. But again, he has movies that are coming out overseas. He's starting that up. That's been high profile. Well, didn't you find it fascinating that AH starts appearing around those places with interviews and documentaries? Like things start popping up there where they could do damage. They're not here. Now she, if you find yourself saying, but maybe she couldn't get anything done here. Oh yeah, she could. She could get some low rent fucking place like Tubi or whatever. She could get one of those places, I'm sure, to cover because they figure they'll get some clicks out of it. This apparently, I don't think this is doing well from what other people are saying, but the accusations in here, again, this thing adds in, it talks about the masculinists. I mean, I guess is that how that translate? Is that actually a correct translation, or is that like a misogynist thing? I mean, is that the title that's being used? Is that legit? Can somebody that maybe somebody that knows anything regarding French, or can they tell me that? Because I'm curious. John, thanks for the 20 there. Somebody mentioned Derrick Rose a few minutes ago as possibly for EB's famous athletes. He was supposed to be a Chicago Bulls during the time she was there, supposedly laying on on the floor, ducking bullets. Thoughts? Well, I think it's interesting there. Like she did. There's a few other interviews that are starting to surface, because all of this stuff is starting to slowly dredge up from the past. And in that, I think that's where that comes from. I haven't played those. I'll hunt them down. I've got to listen to them. So I'll make sure I'm quoting everything correctly in that. That's why I haven't put them in yet. Tori, thanks for the 5. Someone should talk to Derrick Rose, see if he knows. Eliza knows cuts Morthland. He might be the athlete she alludes to in her second traffickers. Well, she's saying, according to, hitting that before we really dive into this piece right here. She says that there's litigation, like her statements in the second interview with Shane talks about how, behind the scenes, legal team, litigation, that's what they're using to take stuff down. She's not just making claims. She's making claims. I feel she's misrepresenting herself to like YouTube and other platforms. Again, this is coercion or whatever by her trafficker. But at the same time, she's telling them that there's litigation. Now, she lied again. She said that she's suing us all. And then she makes it clear that she's not suing us. But in that, again, it very much sounds like that's what she's saying. That's how I took her statements. I've been looking though, and again, not everything's going to be public, but there is nothing that I can find that's public that relates to that. I am interested in arrest records, considering she brought up the fact that, she was arrested for. I'm curious, like what all's out there in that too. I know that like at least her mugshot had come up before because she was embraced for that too. That's another thing. So she had a criminal history and nobody gave a shit. I remember that actually going through her timelines when the Twitter files were up. She was like, "Oh, people are bringing up my history where I was arrested. Oh, look at my mugshot. I think I look really good. Stuff like that." So, but yeah, that is a curious item. So anyway, looking at this, so you have the there's things that are weird, like here. You notice right here, if you look, I know this is small, but still, actually, let me reshoot that. Let me relock that. Okay. They did things like they blurred out Ty Beard's face. All right. But they didn't blur out Ricada Law. I thought that was strange. Now I was looking up copyright law. Copyright law obviously is going to be different depending on the place. So yeah. But look at that. They blurred out Ty Beard's face. But I mean, they were like, of course, they were like, well, we need to keep the sexiest panelist in frame. So of course, that umbrella guy can't be. No, it's just like, don't you find it interesting though that they blurred him out, but they they were like, everybody else, welcome. I mean, they blurred his name and everything else out. I thought that was weird. Now this is all in print. I'm just going to let the image replay because I can't understand it. If you want to, if you see what else is being added in here, and it's a hit piece with, oh man, look at what's all there. Look what's going out. Look what's happening. It's funny because they flash all this stuff up, trying to tell you that it's all it's all just pile on is essentially what they're saying. But if you look at what's here, yeah, they're trying to say, oh, it's all misogyny. It's all these misogynists that are trying to take this down. But look at what they're showing. Okay, the dates, the footage on the elevator stuff when things come up, headlines. The headlines, by the way, are places that, they went full bore for AH. So, I mean, this is just misrepresentation, period. Again, I've muted that just because. But look, they threw in. There went quartering. I don't even know who the fuck that was. There went Andy. Let me see. Whoops. Sorry, I was trying to lock that in. They went quartering. They threw in Andy. You can see Andy over there in the darkened corners of it. Now, they, of course, I'm going to say didn't reach out to anyone associated with this stuff at all. They love those TikTok videos. They love them. They're like, oh, man, these people, they got the internet fames. So then they put this part in. Okay, that, like I said, lower end, who gives a shit, right? Dime a dozen, baby, dime a dozen, right? Man, the thing that's not dime a dozen is what they add in to try to deflect. So they use, and what's funny is these are all, okay, so they're going to use people like Elliot Rodger, like I said, you know, a murderer, an absolute murderer, to compare them to the people that are talking about this stuff. Give me a second. I'm locking this screen. Trying to make sure it's blown up here. Okay. Now, first they use the Liver King. Now, what's funny is, like, for me, I call out people like this. Like, I made a video on the Liver King, you know, because he's being sued for class action fraud. So it's really funny to have these folks like throw in people like the Liver King. You know, like I said, this dude, if you've never heard of him, I made a video on it. It's fascinating stuff, though. He was selling a lifestyle fraud to men. There's a lot of that happens. You know, he was saying, oh, you want six packs that have six packs that have six packs. Well, you can live a certain way. You know, you can live by the tribal tenets, and also you need to eat certain things, raw items, this and that. But if you can't get these things, buy my supplements, buy a lot of them. And yeah, he's being sued for a lot of money because he was taking supplements, all right. You know, the kind that, well, yeah, they do lead to a lot of muscle growth. He got caught at leaked emails and he admitted it. He admitted that he was doing that. But he went with the same grift like these people do too. He said, I was doing it for people because of their self-esteem. My message was all because of that. It was because, you know, people are men, self-esteem. People are Minecrafting themselves, and I wanted to stop that. And it was like, man, fuck you people. Why? Oh, the Roman, thanks for the 10 there. They play the part of your life when the verdict was read. Really, I'm personally proud to be part of that moment in time with you and Yellow Flash. Have you watched it? And I haven't even seen it. So they played my verdict part. Hell yeah. Somebody send me a clip of that because I'm going to put it in my intro. I was proud of that moment. I was proud in that moment. Not for me, man. I was proud for him because 6 fucking years. Your whole life went to shit. Everybody said it's a mistake, baby. You can't do this. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, and on a individual scale, it did feel because it shows the world these things matter. So when people are like, Tug, you go down these rabbit holes, you spend so much fucking time on this stuff. Well, you see where some of it goes. Not everything, baby. Some of it matters. Bessie thinks so too. Tug. Don't think you're killing us with. Us with is humor. Dad humor, baby. You know, I can tell when I'm out of my element. So, you know, there's like humor types. Like for me, I went on with I like Chrissy Mo. She's funny. She's fucking funny. She's really funny. And Dick Masterson was on their charity stream, and they were funny together. But they have a different type of humor. Like I said, my humor is adjusted to adults. Somewhat, but my humor also, you know, I mean, you can tell, like, I'm a dad with kids. It comes through. You know, you can see that as well. I was like, man, my humor doesn't adjust to, you know, an actual comedians and stuff. I mean, she's like an actual comedian. Again, she's great people. I love her channel if you haven't checked her out. She also got Hid in This Madness, so it does matter. Stacey D, thanks for the 10. Comparison to Trump with his "you can do anything when you're rich" comment is in there too. Like I said, I haven't even watched all this. I haven't even watched it all. I saw it come up and I got to Elliot Rodgers and I was like, fuck this stuff. I'm going to go over it live. I mean, just to be honest, like, if I see something that's going to make me mad, I come back to it live, not because it'll make me mad and be like, "Ooh, let's do it live," but because I don't want to do it more than once. And it'll make, I'll be ready for it, and it won't just piss me off for real. Like I won't be like, raw rage breaks up. You know what I mean? Because being compared to a spree or a serial killer is fucked up, man. I never thought in life we would get there. Cloud Goblin, thanks for the 5. The chat has requested you put a Murphy beard, a beanie, and a part of the op, bro, on your store, cloudgoblin.net. Maybe I'll put that's what oh my God. So how's it look? I believe in self-deprecation too. So what I'll do is I'll talk to Peter Gilmore today, and I'll see if he can do like an umbrella, like sitting at like a little news table. Yeah. As that, and he'll have a beanie on with a little Jack Murphy beard, and behind him it'll say, or somewhere on there it'll be like, it's part of the op, bro. It's all part of the op, bro. That'll be funny. That'll be ready for our live reading. I think that'll be good. Because I'm fine with it. Again, like we were joking the other day, just to say this, you gotta, the memes, they're gonna be there whether you like them or not. So you might as well have fun with them. We're talking about like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. Him. I think Drunk 3PO said, "Yeah, everybody's bracing for your pornos pass to come out," and he was like, "What the fuck?" And I was saying, what would be really funny? Like this was all your long-term plan. That's why you called yourself D-Day Cobra. You're waiting for D-Day's Cobra to come out. He thought it was funny. People memed on it. He embraced that. That's how you handle controversy. You embrace the memes, you embrace the stupid, and fuck, you monetize it. I mean, you have fun with it. Mr. Dog, thanks for 20. Hey, feel left out, but Tennessee cricket high school, I know what's going on. Yet I love it out up in these areas. They're amazing. Anyway, I'm way off in the weeds. Here we go back. So Liver King first.
Men and women are not created equal. I can't.
There, Elliot Rodger again, killer, monster, fucking monster. They're like, oh, that's part of the their op, bro. It's like, dude can't be part of like talking about Depp and Heard. He's kind of unless somebody's channeling him, he's not talking about anything,
And have you, girls? I will destroy you.
By the way, he's creepy. If you've never looked into that, by the way, oh my God, like. Yeah, look that up. That's if you've never looked up anything on him. He is where the word incel became. Like I said, I don't know where it came from, but it became popularized because of him.
Le masculinisme, c'est un militantisme réactionnaire. Ça s'appuie sur les idéologies antiféministes.
Okay, so
Un masculiniste, il est persuadé
they
qu'il
compared it
est
to
dans
Trump.
une position de dominer et qu'il doit retrouver sa position dominante.
Yeah,
C'est pour ça d'ailleurs que le
speak it all,
masculinisme
man.
est très empreint de
She's saying,
conspirationnisme.
actually, you know what?
C'est un petit peu l'idée que les femmes...
Here, I'll translate. She's saying, I actually wore this this orange sweater because honestly, I'm part of the op, bro.
complotent au renversement de
Orange
de leur
man,
place.
orange sweater. Ask Shane Cashman, he'll tell you.
Parmi ces masculinistes,
Oh, look,
des hommes au
Jordan
profil
Peterson.
différents.
I like how they put
Certains
that.
frustrés et
Got
renfermés,
5 on his
et
head.
d'autres plus virilistes,
sign.
persuadés d'être supérieurs aux femmes.
Men and women are not.
I like how they blurred his nipples. Wait, shit. I like how they blurred his nipples.
Et
Look at
d'autres
that.
plus virilistes, persuadés d'être
There
supérieurs
were
aux
people
femmes.
complaining about that. They were like, there's a thing trending on social media right now, and they were complaining about this. They were like, you know what? It's so terrible that these days they will blur nipples, but they won't blur Nazis. I was like, what the shit? So it needs to be new hashtag is like nipples not Nazis. That was like, that would be the way you go, but that's really, look it up. I was like, this is unreal. This is unreal. That's the only reason I noticed that they were blurring his nips out, because there is a large conversation going on about the blurring of nipples, not Nazis. For real. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm not making this up. Like, I'm not fucking with you. Give me a minute. I gotta show you this. This is very well worth seeing. I ran across it because I was thinking, I haven't looked in a while because I don't normally give a shit, but I was curious about like how crazy fucking Cat Timbarge had been going lately, right? And they've been having, and this ends up getting connected to it. This is not the statement that connects to it, but this is where the thing ends up trending from. It's actually them going after NBC. She's been going after her own. I'm wondering. So they did a walkout. In fact, I'm trying to find out if she's actually still employed, because they had a walkout last week of NBC employees. She was part of that because 6 people that were part of their union were fired. And she's been going after employees. She's been doing all kinds of other fucked up stuff. And she's openly sharing and attacking NBC. I mean, she's part of that. This was her employer. So it does seem kind of strange, doesn't it, that you would attack her own employer? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Part of a walkout. People are being fired. Then she goes from absolute silence and even endorsement of everything her company does to going after them. But you see that I spoke to NBC News about why nipples are more censored than Nazis on most platforms. And this got added to that conversation. I'd have to dig up where that happens. But that is a real trending topic. Nipples. Now, I'm the one who said nipples, not Nazis, but that's for real. So anyway, let's get back to this. I thought that was hilarious. Nipples, not Nazis. What a world, man. What a world. How's this place for real? Anyway.
Men and women are not created equal. That's why a man is called a man and a woman is called a woman.
Why is that not? Why is that so controversial? Women, you have unique experiences. You have unique hurdles, obstacles in life, experiences. You have everything that is you. You and I, we're not. I keep hearing from the same people that would complain about this, that we're not equal socially. We're not equal, period. So I don't understand how that is then weaponized. I know why they're trying to say that. Oh, well, lesser here, right? But these are the same people that tell us all the time that society it says that we're not equal. Aren't they embracing it now? Does that mean they're all misogynists? Am I channeling my inner Shane Cashman?
Enough man-hating, enough pathology, enough bringing disgrace on us as a gender.
So feminism has made women alcoholics.
So they threw in Peterson saying, you need to stop shaming men. Wow, what a fucking monstrous thing, right?
Well, let's back up here. Radical feminism, I think, has made women miserable. I do think there's a link there.
Des hommes parfois prêts à légitimer le viol, comme le Britannique Andrew Tate.
I say that women should bear some responsibility for being raped. I'd like to take this time and explain what I was saying in long format video.
Ou de jeunes isolés appartenant à la communauté des incels.
The rage of the incel.
Or involuntary.
It's amazing. Like, I get lumped in incel and I'm like, I got 2 kids and a married jackass, right? You realize that, yeah. Like, you can hear them pop up. In fact, like, they can't hear my conversation, but here, I'm going to mute real quick. I'm going to yell at one. One's playing a game across. You can actually hear them respond. Check this out. Yeah, see, you hear that there? Nothing. I was just making a point. Play your game. All right. Yes, play our game. All right. Sorry. Yeah, so they're telling you that, we're incels or involuntarily celibate. That is saying that you can't have. I was like, what, are you telling me that I immaculately conceive those? If I did that, we'd have some really interesting YouTube videos, right? Oh Lord. Are they telling, oh my God, are they are they channeling rather their inner Alex Jones? Are they like, oh my God, those kids, they're just props. They're crisis actors. It's like, oh my God.
Celibate, les célibataires involontaires en français. Des hommes obsédés à l'idée de punir les femmes qu'ils tiennent responsables de leur misère sexuelle et qui sont considérés comme une menace terroriste par le département de la sécurité intérieure des États-Unis.
Les incels, ce sont des dizaines de milliers de personnes, membres d'une communauté très active, très engagée, qui communiquent en permanence. Dans leur bataille pour faire des femmes des esclaves sexuels, ils savent qu'ils doivent discréditer le droit des femmes en général. Et ils le font en
All you ladies are incels. Did you know that?
diffusant des récits misogynes, en particulier sur les réseaux sociaux.
Des hommes parfois prêts à commettre des attentats ciblant les femmes, comme Elliot Rodger, qui a diffusé en 2014 cette vidéo sur YouTube avant de tuer 6 personnes, d'en blesser 14 autres et de se suicider.
If I can't have you, girls, I will destroy you.
He's so creepy.
Je pense qu'on ne peut pas comprendre en fait ce qui se passe autour des questions féminisme, masculinisme, etc. si on ne comprend pas qu'au cœur du problème, il y a la volonté de faire valoir un rapport de force. Force physique, force mentale, force psychique, mais vraiment une volonté d'écrasement en fait. Hein.
You see, again, this is part of the Deb Hurt, their documentary. Like, no shit. Now, there's been a discussion about people that were involved in this. And this is where things start to get interesting. Now, when you look at, now again, I've not researched this topic. Okay. So I'm making that very clear. But this discussion of the press release for it, the stakeholders in this, you have people like Brianna Wu, one of the BFFs of Zoe Quinn, who accused a man and he fucking killed himself 2 days later. That person, yeah, the shit we should fight. Definitely. Eliza Bleu, who wrote dozens and dozens of just insanely weird pages of shit, trying to simp it. When you go through again, you start going into the stakeholders from this thing. There's a lot of names that are specialist in disinformation strategies. Oh my God, call Shane Cashman. I think we got something more. I'd be like, Shane, what do you think? What do you think Tim would think about that?
That's part of the op, bro. That's
exactly, Tim. That's what I was thinking. It is part of the op, bro. But there's another part of this too, a part that I'm looking into right now. And in fact, I'm looking into it because I want to make sure I understand this. But there's a discussion behind it about Amber Heard's involvement. And she's definitely aware because she's given them new material. It's either her legal team or her that was feeding. And well, that depends on when it was made. That's what I say. You assume like right now, yes, this is all settled and over. So of course, but when were communication, like they had to start making this at a specific time. How long have they been working on it, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a connection with this. And it looks like at best Heard was giving them things that weren't involved in the case. There was discussions about this. Again, I'm looking into it, trying to see. At worst, I mean, she's actively involved with this thing. And this rewriting, again, it's not just the rewriting. It's not just comparing us to fucking monsters out there, which is messed up. This would be an active attack on Depp's new movie. Like that is what this thing is, because he right now, I mean, we've already seen attacks on it too. We've already seen a few of them talking about, oh, behind the scenes, there's this going on or that going on. You know, there's been a lot of drama mongering to it, but you know, so if you don't know about this, I mean, you have, like I say, you have a French documentary drop while, give me a minute here. This is going on, you know, the French film. So if you have AEH, she's actively going after his career again. She's definitely taking part in it, but I don't know the level or the extent. And I'm sure we won't uncover all of it, but there's parts of it I saw, and like I said, I'm looking into, that I thought, holy crap. Holy crap. Tori, thanks for the vibe. I've suspected that people who are defending her against their better interests possibly have been Me Too threatened by her after being involved sexually with her. I mean, that's possible too. You know, it's you never know exactly why people go down rabbit holes and why they defend. You know, talking about Blue, talking about this person, and on any of them. Really, you never really know. But yeah, I mean, it does get interesting. So anyway, this is a developing thing, because this is asked again. There's questions on it that are still there. The documentary, does it matter? Not really. It matters in the fact that it tries to do damage. I believe it is coordinated. I believe that you see the attempt to truly damage. It's not just a rewriting history, which there's going to be a lot of that, because, you know, that's why I say that these topics, you can't just let them go, because these people are they're putting out not but disinformation. Misinformation. Oh, well, I didn't really understand. Disinformation is going out and putting everybody into the classifications of, again, an Elliot Rodger. Mr. Doc, thanks for the 5. By the way, I know more of the volunteers than NC. Pigeon Forge, Evan Pigeon Forge, be more than it's lost. Well, I don't know. I love these areas, man. Let me make sure I missed a few people in here. I just want to check those out there. I appreciate it. Like I said, I love the support. I was told when I started a channel, again, that where I'm from, I don't show my face. I do everything supposedly wrong. You know, I also, I don't, as I've said before, I don't want to get this statement twisted. All right. So I want to make this clear. You shouldn't, at a certain level, like obviously you want to build to a level, but after a while you can chase subs. You can keep trying to build on a new and current thing, or you can be content with what you have and actually stay true to a message. You know, if you grow on it, awesome. You'll hit waves where you'll continue to grow, but you'll gain and lose, depending on how long you stick with things. I was told to never stick with things for a while. Never. Always stay current. You know, and every piece of information it's never worked for me. You know, that's why if you look at like YouTube stats, I mean, again, you know, you had the channel blow up for give me a second, for the trial there, but sticking with the subject, like this, for example, like sticking with it, talking about, especially if you talk about old Timmy boy for a little bit, what do? You do things like this. So check this out. Like this is how my channel operates at the place that it is. You know, I bleed off some subs. I'll bleed off some. Give me a minute. Look, oh man, I gained 1,000. You know, I bled off about 3 after the trial. I think it was maybe 4. I don't remember, which is actually a lot less. I was expecting 50. So that's pretty good, to be honest. It was like, hey, Timmy, thanks. And it was like, nope. You got to get some more out of there. Cause you know, it's like, oh no, this is where I privated all of my live streams, by the way, you know. So leaving up live streams is a new thing. Actually, I'm not saying that I wouldn't delete live streams again. But it is funny, you know. It is funny. These people, they do the weirdest stuff out there, and they think they'll get away with it. Now, Eliza's been shut up for the last day too. Let me check her stats real quick. I'm curious. Give me 1 minute. Look, she's actually gaining positive subs again. It's like, this is fucking garbage. This is what irritates me about stuff like this. After this is, there's still scrubbing going on. Oh, back to making positive gains again, because none of it fucking matters at the end. Like, so many hypocrites out there, dude. Like, some people will follow and be like, oh, this is shit. But now you're seeing positive gains because it's no longer relevant, even though the damage is still done, even though people are still suspended, even though there's still the major fuckery afoot. It's no longer relevant because, oh man, you know, in internet dog years, the fucking subject is already over. It's a sad reality there. This person will build up, and I'm telling you, like, they're not smart enough to keep to keep on message. They'll get backlash, but they will build again. And they will be embraced. Maybe not, they won't be embraced socially, but they'll definitely be embraced by the same people that built her up. She will be embraced again. You just have to give her enough timeline to. Oh my God! Look, these ads are reading my mind. Look, cigar sampler. I'm like, leave me alone. No, I haven't looked up anything on that. What devilry is this? What devilry? Map hanger. Thank you for the 5. You must really be into cartography, right? Alex Jones was right. As you can plainly see, they're turning the wrong way. Indeed. Tori, thanks for the 5. Sorry for all the supers. Oh, no, money? No way. No, sorry for them being speculation. No, you never apologize. You put anything in there. You could just go wobble, 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 wobble. I don't care what's in there. Thank you for your backing. Appreciate you. You know, and talking about EB after you moved on. No, she's relevant in the topic. I mean, there's this overlap in the topics because they're all part of this same fucked up. Like I said, it's a coin flip. So you're right on the money when you're talking about it too. You know, I'm way too slow on chat. Much love to you and yours. No, never feel you need to apologize in that. Anyone that tells you, oh my God, you gave money to something, you supported it. Like I said, I don't care if you're talking about like fucking Pac-Man or disco. I mean, the problem with me is I'll engage the question because I have, I have the retention on subjects of, I don't know, of a fly sometimes. You know, I'll start talking about whatever their shit. Bessie, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Thank you for that. Sincerely. Thank you. Again, on all of you, seriously, for real. I appreciate you when you're showing up. I appreciate the backing and support. Like, it's unreal. I never thought that I could just talk about whatever and people would show, and they do. It's like, it's strange. Like, I sit around here and I just talk, like I talk to you all about, these are topics that we're all discussing. I'm just giving my point of view, and all of you are showing up and we get to discuss it. And I think that's awesome. Snake Plushkin, thanks for 2. Blur naps, nipples, and not YouTube pickles. Indeed, how dare those YouTube pickles? Journey Lover, thanks for the 5. Haven't followed in a while. Hope your health issues are solved. I'm doing pretty good right now. I mean, I need to be better in taking care of self. You know, I mean, it's a process, but yes, indeed. What's up, AJ? Let me see. I'm reading some of this stuff. What about the fake UFO business? Well, first of all, the idea of UFO, unidentified flying object. I mean, if you have something that is truly shot down, but it does. I do find some of that intriguing. I find the idea of. I find that intriguing considering some of the stuff that's been going on. Like again, there's some craziness going on in places like Ohio. Like that discussion's been popping up more and more, about poisoned water. And, the people have been calling it the U.S. Chernobyl. I mean, there's some insane things that happen. The media doesn't touch them, but yes. So again, it was interesting. You never really know what's in the middle of it for real. Hey, what's up, kiddo? You're coming over here. What you doing?
heard about the super chats.
Oh, you're
all of you who donated. Thank you very much.
You just walk over here and go play your game, baby.
And whoever gave me $500, thank you very much. Even though I spend it.
You're crazy. What a nut. What a nut. She just wanted to be like, hey, thanks for backing the channel. Enough head, thanks, vibe, blah, blah, blah. This is fun. Yep, indeed. Heather, thanks for the vibe. At least you're in good company with your fellow accused. Indeed. Yeah, she wanted to say she likes the microphone. She had to wander over. I was like, well, I keep an ear out for that. I don't want any, like, I have an area that's locked off, but yeah, I have kids that are correct. You never know what a kid's going to get into, so I'm not going to lock myself off and then like a kid get hurt or something. So I mean, it's just it is. But I like the pass through traffic anyway. All right, man, we've been here for a while, a little bit longer than I intended today, but still good conversation, a lot of good stuff. I need to get that fanfic out because we need to have some good reading. We're gonna look into doing that, but I'm gonna dig into this other subject here. Check out what's there. Oh, let me check and make sure I didn't miss anything there too. Hey, Tori, thank you for the 5 dedicated to the little one. Let's go. Hey, you made $5.
Yes.
I heard some shit. Yes.
Get the Rainbow Friends.
Does that mean you can get what?
The Rainbow Friends plush.
Rainbow Friends. What? We'll have to talk about that later. I don't think that thing costs $5 though. I told you have to save up for it. We're trying to talk about some responsibility. I was like, she was like, hey, I want to get this Roblox thing. I was like, well, you could save up. So it's $5. She was like, all right, $5. I mean, I can get it. So, I don't think that's how it's going to work. Oh, man.
Because now I have 20.
Oh, you have 20. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, because I saved up 10 and I had 5.
Bash, thanks for the vibe. The reason I stick with you is you don't drop things as fast as most. Feels like you care about what you're talking about. Yeah, I can't shake the like for real. I can't shake the why a lot of times. Like I don't want to regurgitate every headline to you. Like I tried when I first started doing this, I would. There's nothing wrong with going through headlines and stuff either. I mean, there is value in that for sure. But for myself, I don't need to read headlines. Do you read them yourself? If you want to read headlines of the day and see what's going on. Now, there may be something in there that matters that's happening. So I don't want to discount that, but just giving you a recitation of someone else's headline. First of all, it's fucking low rent. It's low energy. It doesn't work. Now, some people can do that and stay informed on the situation. Like I said, Yellow Flash does a good job with that. He goes through because it's what he's doing all the time. He's constantly engaged, and they're topics that he enjoys. But for me, I just like to understand. So that way, when you ask a question, like I don't like not being able to answer something. Again, the why. I mean, at the end of the day, what's the point in what we do? And if you're challenging something, you need to be informed on that said something. You need to understand it. You need to be able to truly articulate a point on it and discuss it. And a point doesn't take form in an hour. Like there are some YouTube channels that will cover something. They'll do a video once a month. I feel like I do the same thing, only I do a video every day, making that video once a month, you know. It puts all of that stuff together because you never know where it's going to go. Like you don't know, you know. But there are people that make like videos once a week or once a month. And like I said, I don't know in the moment what's going to mean something. Like when the Eliza Blue stuff happened, we had no idea that this would be something that continued publicly for 3 fucking weeks plus. It looked like it was going to be, like I said, I thought it was something that it needed to be documented 1 time, maybe 2 times, but it needed to be documented because of everything that was transpiring, you know, just to show an example and to show the continued story on how this stuff happens, plus what is going on with Twitter, the reality versus the spin. But let's see. But yeah, I enjoy it too. I don't give a fuck. You know, I don't need an excuse to do anything too. I find a lot of people excuse their behavior on time, you know, and it's like, you know. Gabriel, thanks for the 5 there. I liked about you from the start was you were one of the few I could find talking about male victims of abuse that didn't have women hating incel tendencies. Yeah, I don't, you know, I was raised by my mom. My mom did, again, you know, I was raised around women all the time, you know. That was something like, again, you know, I have in my house, I have 3 women that live here. Well, a woman and 2 kids, 2 girls. I'm outnumbered here. You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, you know, I don't understand. These issues are important, but you don't blame women for it. You blame the people who did it. I no more want women blaming men for, like, if there's a rape that happens or something, like the person that did it, they need to pay. And if there's a culture of people saying, well, you know, there was a culture that said, you know, people ask for it or this or that. That's gross, man. Like nobody asks for horrible shit to happen to them. You don't need that. You know, you don't need it on either side of it. It's the same, like now it's become, and it's still socially acceptable to say, like, say, you see this in conversations about teachers abusing kids, right? You'll see like, 12-year-old, like, girl, this happened to them. Holy crap, that's horrible, which it is. 12-year-old boy, this happens to them. Oh man, that's every boy's fantasy, right? And you know, it's like, you know, what the fuck? It goes with this social narrative that you don't have to hate to see the problem with fucking, I mean, it's calling out. A lot of times it's calling out, and it's the culture. There are people that hate women and they hate men. Both sides. The difference is these days, it is socially fucking acceptable to hate men. It is socially acceptable. It is socially acceptable to destroy male victims, to just attach yourself wholeheartedly to any accusation that comes around that destroys a man. And it's unreal, you know, and that leads to some controversial takes, I suppose. Like I said, you know, with an Andrew Tate, for example. I've listened to some of the stuff Andrew Tate has, and I believe that Andrew Tate is a manipulator of men and women. I believe that, there's some horrible shit that he has said in that. That rebranding of things looked like just a rebranding. That being said, we don't even know. We know it's being investigated with him in what is it, Romania. We know it's being investigated. We, however, have no fucking clue. In fact, there are crazy things that have gone on. There were 2 women. This is from headlines. So again, we'll see more of it come out. But one of the things that came out as part of that, there were 2 women that wanted to be removed from this. And they said, we did whatever came up. We weren't trafficked. We weren't victimized. Well, the court came back and said, no, they had been brainwashed. They've been brainwashed into thinking that. So there's something that, again, that's the issue. You can research that and you come to your own opinions about it. When everything comes out in the wash, we'll see what's there. But there are things in that are strange, that just seem odd, that make you question, what's going on with this. Again, we don't know yet. We don't know. And I'm not willing to say that I know when we don't even have fucking charges. But at the same time, like I said, I believe that he is a manipulator of women and men. Definitely. I believe he's talked about doing some fucked up things. He's talked about, manipulating women, getting them into the industry. He's talked about manipulating men, using the women that he got into said industry, bilking them for money, having women lie to them, enriching himself. But we'll see. Everything will come out in the and I don't even doing that. Like I said, you're caught in this weird place here, because if you stick to a standard on it, so many people hate having any kind of standard. So many people hate that, and you're allowed to fucking think whatever you want. You are allowed to. But again, we have to fucking have a standard, or we have no standards at all. You can't just like it because or think this idea of some type of investigation into something has to be seen. You have to look into things. You can't just think that from one person and not other people. And again, you can do your own research. There's plenty. Like I said, I want to see what the exact charges are going to be. There have been months of holding this person. They've held them in jail. They've kept them there. There have been some odd things that have been stated, but I heard the same thing with Kevin Spacey. Like I said, with Kevin Spacey, I said that I thought Kevin Spacey would win his court case because there were inconsistencies in what the people that were accusing him reported. That did not go over very well, especially on Twitter. But it was true. It was very true. That didn't say that. There are some strange fucking things that have surrounded Kevin Spacey. Some strange things. And I think we may see a court case that he loses. The court case that he had, though, his team was ready to tear apart. And people don't like to. They don't like to hear that from a standpoint that just, especially when you're looking at charges in a case. If you're looking at a case, you see inconsistencies in that. Well, the jury's going to see that too. And there's going to be years of stuff that's out there in the public. Maybe the public knows what's going on, but the issue in a courtroom too is also going to be how that presents. So I mean, like I said, with the Spacey stuff, I'm fascinated. I think Shia LaBeouf's in for a rude awakening if he gets into the courtroom and his own words are used against him. Which, if you have a good lawyer in it, that interview that he gave, I mean, they'll tear him up. They'll take him apart. Absolutely. He admitted way more than he should have. If his lawyer is probably like, "Oh my God, why are you still talking? Shut up, man. Shut up. Abort. But Shia just kept going because that's how LeBeau. He can't stop himself, and he dug himself a hole. The stuff with Brad Pitt, that's been very controversial. All of this stuff is going to be controversial. If you have any opinions on it whatsoever, you know. And it is difficult not to have opinions. I mean, you're going to have them. You know, in your opinion, you know, it's part of having an opinion too. If you have it and then new stuff gets added to it, it could change everything. You never know what's all there either. That's why I'm not going to say people you reserve judgment on that. That's why I like to cover accusations, but I like to make it clear they're accusations. They're very much accusations. But anyway, all right. Well, none of that's neither here nor there anyway. But I think LeBeau really feels bad about what he did. Am I naive? Well, we'll see. You know, he didn't go and get actual help. Like here's his issue. He said, you know, what he was talking about with help. He got help for substance abuse, but it sounds like he didn't like what an actual therapist was telling him about getting help. So he went and he lived with monks, and like I said, he picked up an AA sponsor, but he didn't get assistance for these things that he was doing. That's always a glaring red flag in it. You know, when you seek out people that will enable you in this pursuit of, you know, of you're gonna have some apologies for sure. And like I said, I don't know what's in the inner working of Shia LaBeouf's mind. I do look at those actions there, and they're giant red flags for me. And he is still denying. Like I said, he's like, well, yeah, I put hands on that person, but those accusations against me are false. How's that? So are you saying some of the accusations are false? You know, because he admitted and yet denied at the same time. And there's no clarification on that. So we'll see. But I mean, he admitted that he did. And here's the thing about forgiveness too. Ultimately, forgiveness is not mine to give. You know, I can look at this from a legal perspective or social perspective, but it's not mine to give Shia LaBeouf. The person that he hurt, if they want to forgive him, if they want to walk away from it, that's their perspective. You know, and there's the other part of that too. If a person is an abuser, they need to, it's just like it's like I've said about sexual abusers, and especially those that abuse kids without monitoring. Like they come out of jail, for example, you're talking about offenders here. If they come out of jail and they are not monitored, that means they are not in therapy. They are not around a case manager, somebody to keep up with them. You're talking about within a year, 80%, right at that rate, they will go back to jail. There's an 80% recidivism rate. You put somebody with them in that first year. You keep them monitored. You make sure that they report back. That drops. It's still a scary statistic. It's a 1 out of 5, a 20%, but still it drops from an 80 to a 20. Those are real numbers, by the way. So, you know, I'm very careful in cutting anyone's slack when they want to just say, oh, yeah, I'm going to go do my own thing over here. And, you know, they don't really get help. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Let's end here. You know, it's a good place. I'm going to keep going forever. I appreciate you folks. I'm going to go play video games with the kiddo for a few. All right. Appreciate you. Peace.